up pretty high, our heads are almost in the clouds, and their feet are chained to the ground with their chains of misery. They've got a hold of me, they won't let go of me. Let go of me. They might have gravity on their side, but something's pulling us high. Got the potential to fly. Don't let them be what holds you back from this one incredible chance. They're lucky to have had a glance at you while you defy gravity. They can be cruel and mean and a huge pain. Our heads are in the clouds now. Don't let them make it rain. A smile can be the sign they're missing out on their rainy day. They might have gravity on their side, but something's pulling us high. Got the potential to fly. Don't let them be what holds you back from this one incredible chance. They're lucky to have had a glance at you while you defy gravity. You defy gravity. They say we aren't strong enough, we don't have what it takes. I say yeah, they're wrong enough, and we'll show them someday. They might have gravity on their side, but something's pulling us high. Got the potential to fly. Oh yeah, don't let them be what holds you back from this one incredible chance. They're lucky to have had a glance at you while you defy gravity. You defy gravity. You defy gravity. Yeah, yeah. At you while you defy gravity.
Welcome back to Have No Sphere right here at Iron Realm Media's YouTube channel. That was an awesome first half. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how the second part goes, but we at least broke it up. We at least got a break in there, so that's
It was nearly good, Josh. I forgot to press stop on YouTube, so we kicked back in, but at least it was good because it was Stefan's music that just came in. We just came with a little cheeky Iron Realm Media. I apologise. Rubbish. One click again. Just one little click.
So I think the way I figured it out is after a 3-hour show, we're about 47 clicks away from perfection. So that's
perfection
cool.
at any one moment, Josh. Not in any one show.
Okay. It's all right. We have fun here. We may not be perfect. We may not be the most well-produced show, but by golly, we have a good time. If you're looking for a serious podcast discussion, about all sorts of deep, heady topics, you're not in the right spot. We might get a little heady sometimes, but we'd like to relax and have a good time. So we try not to sweat the small stuff, and a few audio problems, that's small stuff. I'm not worried about it. Perfection refracted, according to Constance Bruins in chat, which is pretty accurate. Perfection just refracted. So Brendan, have you joined us? Did you make it back?
I want to know where this podcast is with heady talking, so I can head on over there.
There are some out there, for sure.
I've just been yabbering away at myself, and I'm paused and muted and all sorts of stuff. So, sorry, Brendan, over to you, but save us, please.
Well, sorry. Now Brendan's being, I can't hear anything you're saying, Brendan. Might have to bounce out and come back in. Might have to be the case. Like I said, if the audio reinitializes, sometimes they don't sync back up.
That's what I did, Brendan. I bailed out.
Zoom has a feedback option. I'm going to be using it this weekend.
Unfortunately, I didn't hear the second rendition of Gravity. I don't know if you saw my frantic tweets. I can't hear anything. I saw Zach laughing a lot and talking, and I couldn't hear anything, and neither could Brendan.
No, yeah, it was on the YouTube. Remember, we have that problem when Adam does it. It's a few extra clicks to share it with us. So it's usually just easier if he shares it with YouTube and not us. I just follow along on YouTube whilst I'm muted.
Well,
I did say that, Josh, in the break. I was thinking
along. Yeah, cheers for that, Adam. No, I appreciate that.
I feel a break coming on here, the Iron Realm here very soon.
We've been going for ages.
Like a few week break. We need
what, like Absolutely. A Globebuster season finale, 2 bloody months, Bob. What the hell are you thinking about?
What the hell were you thinking about? Every Sunday I'm clicking over, fingers crossed, hoping to Sunday's the day.
No wonder the flat Earth community went frickin' loon.
I will say
responsibility.
That's right. As one of the leaders of this movement, you should totally take responsibility for the degradation of the information since you've been gone. It's your fault completely. And somebody says,
and that
Flat Earth, what are you, retarded? I say, no, Globebusters has been gone for 2 weeks. I just don't know what to do with myself.
Yeah, and the Nathan play. I mean, talk about a kick in the bollocks and a smack in the face. Right, haven't we got a guest?
We do have a guest, but we also have something from Gary that we wanted to discuss.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
I'm just waiting for Brendan to pop in. There he is. And then I wanted to get back to Gary before we go to Brendan. I see.
Hey, you, Brendan.
How you doing?
Here. Perfect.
In for the save.
Good man.
And then Gary, are you back with us too? I see you are muted.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, beautiful. Right. And there's a few things that you wanted to cover too. A little announcement that you teased us with before we broke on the last time.
Yeah. I've been liaising with this girl on Messenger for a couple of months now, reference potentially doing something at one of the colleges in Oxford. I believe, I don't think it's any more than this, but I think they have like a student area where they actually do talks stroke debates. And they invited me a few months ago, but they hadn't got very far on confirming the venue and also potential debaters. And it's now got to the point about 2 weeks ago. They said that they've definitely got the location. They definitely want to do something, and they just got to get some debaters from their side. And do I know of anyone else to be there as well? So I asked Roxanne if she would come along, and it turns out that they've got 2 people that they want to represent the heliocentric model. And so Didi, sorry, not Didi, that just rolls off the tongue, so sorry about that. Roxanne and I are going to go up there, and I think it's the 27th of Feb, Wednesday evening, and I've basically suggested that instead of both of us talking, doing our open presentation, talking about Flat Earth, Roxanne's going to do that part, but I'm actually going to try and explain to them about other things that are like part of the jigsaw, with like pharma and the 5G and the education system, the monetary system, you name it, 9/11, the moon landings and things like that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask somebody to come up and pour some water into a cup, into a glass, and just say, if this is like the equivalent of explaining to us how the globe works, or the globe, could somebody please come up and show me how you can pour this water from this jug into this glass? And of course, it's going to be literally 2 seconds, and it's going to be, there you go, you've got an easy answer. So right now, can you now just repeat that, but prove to me that we're on a globe? And of course, they're going to be stuck, because even though I believe that they're going to think that we're there, and they're all going to be, because I believe that they get normally about 30 to 40 people coming to these lectures, and the lady that's organising this thinks it's probably going to be more like triple that because of the content, what it's about. But I honestly do believe that the people who are going to be there that are just going to think this is going to almost like going to be a whitewash, and it's just going to be a joke, because we clearly haven't got anything to say, and we don't know what we're talking about, and we're clearly mad. So I'll be really interested to know at the beginning how many people, is there anyone in the room that actually thinks that the moon landings were real, yes or no? And do they believe that there's a question mark about the shape of the Earth, and are we spinning? And I fully expect everyone in the room, apart from Roxanne and I, to be totally in the camp of they believe what they've been told. And then I'm going to ask a question at the end, and I'll be interested to see what if there's any change.
When's this, Gary?
The last Wednesday of February. I think it's the 27th of February.
Which college is it in?
Not sure yet. But if you wanted to come along,
Uni, you said, yeah.
Yeah, but feel free to, if anyone in the UK wants to come along, then I can't see any reason why we can't have more there.
What would be any harm, would it, mate?
Well, I'm more than happy to go there on my own. I'm happy to go there with Roxanne. I'm happy to go there with whoever. And if you were there as well, that'd be brilliant.
Sounds a giggle.
Does sound a giggle.
Me and Ryan will get our passports ready.
The thing is, though, that's the ticket. I've got you booked in. I've got your accommodation sorted. So, but no, I think personally, it's great that one, they want to do this, and two, the key for the future has got to be the youngsters. Either through school or when they get obviously to this point, because the youngsters of today will be the academics of the future, and if you get them early, not that the students are going to be early, but that is really something to tap into, isn't it, really?
I'm not touching it with a barge pole, but I admire you for going for it. But
sound like you, John?
you've got to give them facts, haven't you? You've got to give them something that they can tangibly go away and either do or look up, and sort of throw things at them that they wouldn't know, like say the Cancer Act, or just something that they can go away and look up, because I mean the water sticking to the outside of a ball is I mean every single person in there is just going to go gravity, duh.
Yeah.
You're a
Just
braver man than me, Gary, is all I can say. You're a brave man.
Think how dangerous that is, though. If there's just one concept that Roxanne and Gary can present that would make half of those kids just go, whoa, wait a minute, and just plant that seed deep, in the next 3 months, 40% of that, 50% is going to be well on their way. They'll be missing classes. They'll be just hunkered down in this library watching YouTube videos and reading PDFs online, trying to figure out what the hell's going on with the shape of the Earth, because they just had their mind blown.
what I'm hoping is that I would like there to be like a follow-up event where basically Roxanne and whoever's there, and obviously Adam and whoever's there would be great. That'd be really good. And it could be that this develops into I don't know if a series would actually be the case, but at least do like a backup, follow-up, because we could actually say to them, we got some, they're going to come back with questions, we're going to come with them some thoughts, and we can say, right, okay, we're going to be back in 2 months' time. In the meantime, could you please look into certain things? And there's a lot of it they're going to come up with off their own bat, really, and then do a follow-up and to see where that leads.
Can I volunteer a presentation by Adam on moon phases and how they are impossible on the spinning ball Earth?
That's not my presentation, Savage. That's yours.
Yeah, delivered by you, obviously.
Well, no, it'd be your presentation.
Yeah, maybe Adam, that John needs to come down.
Well, it's his presentation, so it would require him, Gary.
Go up.
Okay, well, fair enough. I will send an email in the next 5 minutes to say that John's coming as well. That's fine.
All I did was the artwork, but that's irrelevant, really. So,
well, luckily,
great to see you there, John.
Can be repeated by absolutely everyone and anyone, because that's the whole point of these observations, is that they're repeatable and falsifiable, and you can repeat them yourself. But enough of a teaser on the moon phase front, which we will be coming to, I don't know when, some point. Brendan, you look burning. Like something to say. Yeah,
No,
you got a guess?
I actually just spoke with Cyndi on Facebook, and she got home about 10 minutes ago or so, and she's eating some food, and then she's supposedly hopping on. So
tell her to take her time.
That's what I said.
We'll be here.
I was like, take your time, but hurry up. No, the only thing I want to say about like debating the astrophysicist, like I went and did the it wasn't obviously debating an astrophysicist, but I went and did the iHeartRadio in Florida, and I debated 3 people. They were comedians, but they were educated ones, marketing, and they all went to school. One was a big radio host down there and stuff, so they weren't dumb people, but as far as like getting up there and going in for the debate, like I admire that a lot. I knew it was a nervous type of thing for me too, to walk into a lion's den like that, because it was a 3 versus 1, and like you were saying, if you bring in things that will blow their mind, it'll really throw them off. I took the stance of going into the history, the Masonic history, and the people that control us. I mean, these aren't hidden facts. It's not like this is on some paper locked in a vault. Like anybody can access who these people are. And if you look up, Freemasons and the Jesuits and the education system, and you can explain to them how the lie happened, it's a lot easier for them to understand the lie. When I'm teaching somebody flat earth, and it's one thing I take pride in, is waking people up. I love it. It's one of the greatest feelings in the world. I never use the word flat earth when I'm trying to wake them up. I'll kind of use the word realm and stuff like that, and alternative words to flat earth, because flat earth kind of has that trigger response in the person. So, like when I was traveling Central America, people are like, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm making a documentary. And then they'll come at me like, oh, what's it about? What's it about? Talk to me. And I'm like, oh, a whole bunch of stuff. We don't trust the government. We don't trust a lot of things we're being taught in the school. I'm not bringing up flat earth, but eventually I'll go, and one of the big things we're doing here is this camera here is, you can see further than any other camera ever built. And we're checking out the shape of the earth too. I don't say flat earth. I said, we're also measuring the shape of the earth, because none of it's adding up right now. And I'm seeing things 100 miles away, 200 miles away. And they start, then it starts clicking. If you kind of just bring flat earth into it, it really triggers a response, as far as the astrophysicist, you got to understand, you're debating somebody who has a PhD in something that doesn't exist. So for them to go, oh, you know what, this flat earth, it really, it's making sense. They have a PhD. They bought a doctorate that literally what they learned does not exist. So for them to, I forget what the word it is. I know it's kind of cognitive dissonance and stuff, but there's another word for it. It's kind of like doctors with vaccines. Like, you can give them all the evidence in the world, but they've invested so much of their lifetime and pride mainly into being this, smart, intelligent person. those people aren't going to turn around and just become truth seekers. You know, it's very, very highly unlikely. Possible, but highly, highly unlikely. Because what they're going to do is they're going to run to the people that taught them stuff, and they're going to get reinsured that flat earthers are dumb by somebody with a higher degree or more, you know, years in that degree. And that person, oh, dude, come on, man. Yeah, it's just gravity, dude. You know, and then they'll reprogram their brains back to all the education and indoctrination that they got. And primarily, I think they'll stay astrophysicists until literally, you know, it's on every news channel that the Earth is flat. You know,
Brendan, I think this is part of the appeal of going for the young PhDs, the ones that, you know, like you say, the old PhD has got his books out there. He's got a regular job that's paying him fantastic wage to keep his house and his boat and his yacht and his mistress and all the rest of it. It's the young PhD that may be naive enough to go, yeah, hold on, there is something in this, and they might be you know, young enough to think, this is why I went into this field of science, because I want to be able to prove what is true and what is false and what's reality and what is fiction. And
I agree.
No, I'm totally down with it. Yeah, totally.
I agree. It's just such a kick in the nuts to literally have a PhD in something that doesn't exist. You know, I did a little bit of marketing school, and if I found out that marketing didn't exist, I'd kind of still be a little bummed out about it. Never mind a PhD in, you know, astrophysicists, you know, stuff like that.
But I want to add to what you just said, Brendan, that I actually agree with you about you can't go in there and say you're a flat earther, because in reality, I've actually evolved from a flat earther into a non-spinning globe believer.
Yes.
The way I look at it is, I'm 100% into we're not on a globe and it's not spinning, but I'm 99% that it's flat, as in it's the closest thing I think it is, but there's an element of it could be something else, but what it isn't is a globe and it isn't spinning. So that I'm absolutely like hard and fixed about. But I wouldn't go in there. If one of the first things I'm going to do in there is say, well, first you can't trust me for anything I say, in the sense that go off and do your own research. A little bit like what Jaron says, and it's true, and many other people that do good work. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and they don't know what we're going to be about, and I don't, like I said to a couple of minutes ago, I don't really feel it's worth Roxanne or both of us presenting the same thing but in a slightly different way because our different styles. So she's going to go down the flat Earth route, and I'm going to go down other things that are on the periphery of it, and then there's going to be two guys on the other side, or females maybe, I don't know which, and they're going to do their thing, and then we're going to have a debate between the two of us, or four of us, and then it's going to be open up to the audience. And I've basically driven this with the lady I'm dealing with, because she's not an expert on this, and I'm not saying I'm an expert, but having done the moderation at the UK convention, and there's certain debates, like for instance, I personally didn't like the debate that took place at Denver, and I know that might be controversial saying that, but to have Rob Skiba talking for half an hour, then St. Janice talking for half an hour, then they spoke for 15 minutes each, and I think they did another 2 or 3 runs of. They didn't actually ask each other a specific question for a specific answer, and I personally just do not agree with that. And I will fight tooth and nail if every time I'm involved with any debate, either by moderating it or taking part, I'll be trying to drive through after the initial presentation, you have a back and forth, because that's how you learn more.
Is that what they call, you know, the Oxford or the Cambridge debating rules, or the I don't know, but yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it really shows anything other than it prevents them interacting sort of negatively against each other and just throwing insults or questions or whatever at them. But what you were saying earlier about not calling yourself a flat earther or whatever, I've actually done the same. You know, I've gone from being a flat earther to being someone who doesn't believe in the spinning ball model, because as soon as you say flat earther, you're making a claim. You're making an extraordinary claim that you have to then back up. So if you don't mention flat Earth, then you're not saying it's flat and stationary. You know, all you're saying is that what you've been taught in terms of a spinning sphere, you don't believe in, and that leaves the onus on whoever does claim that they live on a spinning ball
Exactly. Yep.
to provide the evidence against it. But yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. Okay, could I just want to word this slightly differently. Are you guys aware of the alleged story with the Enigma machine? That what happened with Turing is that he didn't crack, and I'm going to say something now that's going to make you all think, oh, okay, I thought he did, but he didn't crack the code to break the code about the Enigma machine from the Germans. He actually cracked what it wasn't. So he worked out what it wasn't, and then it left so many potential variations of what it could be. And that's when the bomb, I believe that's the computer that he invented, or they invented, was called the bomb. They then managed to then have a lot less permutations. So it's not a question if he cracked the code, he cracked what it wasn't. And in effect, I'm going to be doing the same thing with the where we live, is I'm going to say what I believe it isn't, not what I believe it is. So basically, just to run on from what you were just saying, John.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. When you rule out all possibilities, then you're left with, you know, what it can be. Now, there's a W quote, if ever.
But the thing is, though, John, the very fact that they, you know, if all these academics and all these people have actually lived on the spinning globe for forever, surely it's going to be easy for them to come up with some tangible arguments, for the want of a better word. Whereas I'm coming up with where I believe it isn't this. So surely you guys, because there's going to be, let's say 100 in a room, they are there, and most of them are going to be, well, not most of them, but at least a third of them are going to probably be working on either, as a physicist or a geologist or whatever.
Yeah.
It's going to be related in one way or another.
They'll be invested in the ball.
Yeah, 100%. So I would imagine maybe 30%, 33% is probably a bit high, but let's say 20%. Let's give it a benefit of the doubt. 20% of them are going to be studying something related directly or indirectly. And I'm going to say, so basically, it's not a question of me proving to you, as in them, that we're not where we are. Surely it's an easy thing for them to prove that they are where they say they are.
I think you're playing really intelligent chess if you don't mention anything about flat Earth or stationary Earth. You only stick to the fact that, or the facts that you can prove that it's not spinning and it's not a ball, which quite frankly is easy. And they'll all be there thinking, absolutely, this is ridiculous. I'm going to go away and I'm going to prove this guy wrong. And
exactly,
they will then fall down the rabbit hole that we've all fallen down, that you can't. So yeah, good luck with that. But that's a great strategy, I would say.
If I could give you some potential ammunition.
Always, honestly, anything, please.
I just always know the battle plan never survives the war. So you have a good plan when you go in there, but know there's going to be twists. You know what I mean? But one thing I would bring up to them, and obviously look into this a little further, because I don't want to just say this and have you use it there and have there be holes in it. But a lot of these astrophysicists, right, they never had access into these massive telescopes that we have, you know, all over the world, from the Vatican to all these other ones. They're very, very strict on who can go in there. Carrying that name, an astrophysicist, just carrying that badge of honor in their eyes, they should have access into all those, you know, the big, massive ones. Find out maybe before the show or whatever, if they've even ever been allowed in one of those, you know, or what the areas are, why they keeping people from going inside those, even the people that have spent their entire life studying it, you know. So that could potentially give them you know what, why don't we have access into these telescopes? Why didn't we take a field trip when we were going through all these college things to one of these big massive telescopes? You know, why is it only very, very strict limited people can go in and see what they're seeing out of these telescopes? You know, so that might be some ammunition to get them thinking a little bit about, oh yeah, you know, why aren't we allowed to do this, you know?
I do need to mention to you though that these are not astrophysicists.
Okay, my bad.
These are just students, and I do not have a clue what they're actually researching and what they're there for. I mean, there may be a few of them there that obviously are going to be, because what basically I think what's going to happen is a lot of these people are going to be chomping at the bit near the end, wanting to ask questions, but at the beginning, I think they're all going to be too nervous to. So that's why they've got two that are happy to stand up, and obviously they're going to feel that they're actually like in charge of what's going to go on, and it's just literally going to be almost like a travesty, the whole thing.
Gary,
but by the end of it, I expect there to be quite a few that are going to be wanting to ask questions.
Gary, make sure you put your email address out to them, because there'll be so many there that want to say something but won't say something because they're in amongst their peers. Make sure you hand them a card, or every single one of them on the way out there. Contact me if you have any questions. They'll do it anonymously or whatever, but
you could just mention the Iron Realm website.
Oh, don't do that.
You're funny, Adam. But no, what I would like I'd like is it to be filmed, and then it can be put out there, and it obviously can come onto your show. And let's face it, there's a chance that I could have like missed a point on something, or could have been stronger and whatever. Because I'm not an expert at debating. I've been given an opportunity, and obviously going to go for it. But I just think it's a nice opportunity, and and there's 2 conventions coming up at the end of the year as well. So, if these people here are adamant, then turn up in Kidderminster, and, you can actually be there for a few days. And, if you've got questions, then raise them. And, or you can come across the water and come to Amsterdam, or you can go onto the Globe Light Tour, for instance. So,
what about,
opportunities.
Gary, what about, I mean, you say, you're not the ideal guy to debate these guys or whatever, maybe. I think you'd be absolutely fine. I think any of us would be. But what if you had a sort of designated driver to bring along with you? Say, Nathan Oakley is probably the best debater in the UK that I can think.
I think personally, if Nathan was there, he would just rip them up for arse paper. So I think what I would like to do is to almost treat them with kid gloves to begin with. Then all of a sudden they then think, wow, we really got to get like the lecturers involved, and we really got to come back on 2 months later. Then we bring out the big guns.
Yeah, I think Nathan has the decorum to be able to conduct himself in the situations he's in.
Yeah, I think it's almost like it's almost like if you had Nathan at the UK convention that took place in April last year, up against those 3 young lads, then it would just be over within 10 minutes, and it wouldn't really be going very far. And these are students, and they're trying to do a debate, and it's like it's I wouldn't call it low key, but at this moment it's like a subtle intro, and in a way having a back and forth debate for a little while. If they then decide that they are really going to go off and do their homework, and they're going to bring in some people that are more academically schooled, then of course we'll go back, and then all of a sudden it's now 2 months later or 3 months later. Yeah, we can bring in the likes of Adam and Nathan and Tony Riley and whoever, because we got the resources.
Or even Dr. John D. I mean, let's play them on their own playing.
I must admit, wouldn't that be really funny? If you had Nathan and Dr. John D, I'd just sit there in a corner, just like
laughing,
videoing it, and just sucking my thumb, because I won't be doing much, because I wouldn't need to.
Well, this is what I mean. I mean, if we're going to get in front of the Oxford Union Debating Society or whatever, let's do it with the sharpest tools in the box, and play them on their own level, as in PhD level, academic level, and play them on their own, prowess, with Nathan Oakley behaving himself as I'm sure he would. I think that would be absolutely fantastic. When did you say? February?
End of Feb, yeah. All I will say to you, John, and I'm going to do this as cryptically as I can, but nothing to do with Oxford, but watch this space.
Excellent.
And I'm not saying any more.
Excellent. I know exactly what you mean.
Okay.
No idea. Carry on.
No, it'll all be revealed soon.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah. So we got. I mean, like being connected with like the UK convention and the Globe Tour and what we're doing in Amsterdam. There's a hell of a lot happening in our neck of the woods, and I'm really excited and really feel lucky to be associated with, even with you guys, because it's just I can just see the momentum is just building and building, and like, you know, with what happened in Denver and what's happening next year with like Robbie and like the Globebusters, and you know, it's an Effie Core. It's just incredible.
Did you say even with us guys?
Yeah, I thought I had to throw that in. I felt duty bound.
High compliment there from Gary. Right, someone take control of the show. Quick.
Thought you had it. You're good, John.
No,
Run
no
with
idea. And we got a guest.
Yeah, we got Brendan here. We got Gary here. We're just waiting on Cyndi. She's finishing up, grabbing a bite to eat.
Well, I've dominated a lot of this, so I think Brendan should do what he's here for. Anyway, nice to meet you, Brendan.
Nice to meet you too, man.
After all that.
I'm just kind of a floater this week. Cyndi wanted, I asked her if she wanted me to be on for the show to get, just to get her introduced to everybody and stuff like that. And I figured I'd come on. But yeah, I don't really, just besides, editing videos for the next episode and stuff, that's all I've been really up to. It's a long, painful, job just to make 20 minutes of a documentary, so just been busy doing that, kind of flying under the radar. Haven't been really going live on Facebook a lot or anything like that. So
Brendan, give us your YouTube channels and how to get in touch and see your stuff.
Yeah, well, the best place to do it right now is on the website, thefutureoflatearth.com. That's where the first documentary is and stuff like that. The YouTube is going to be, it's up right now. It's Daily Justice, Justice Daily, but Daley, like my last name. But we haven't really launched the YouTube channel yet because we're waiting for this documentary to get filmed, or not filmed, but to get all the post production to be edited and stuff. And then we're gonna do like a big launch to the YouTube channel and stuff. But if you can go to thefutureoflatearth.com, there's a lot of, a few good articles up there. You guys were mentioning somebody from the UK. If you read the article, one of the people that writes for me is by the name of Kyle Keating, or K Keating is what he writes, under that as his, blog name. So you pull up on my website and you can find his articles, and he's in the UK. He's right over where you are somewhere. I can find out exactly where he's at. If you need if you need an extra gun for that potential second debate that you're, thinking might happen with, somebody more smart from the college or whatever, Kyle Keating would be definitely somebody I would consider bringing along, and I'm sure he'd be very, very open to doing so. He is one of the smartest kids I know. He's younger. I think he's like 26, 27. But this kid has done nose deep, research for, a long time now. And he's, yeah, Kyle Keating, he's great. He's got a really heavy.
Has he been on YouTube at all or done?
No, that's the thing. He hasn't done any debates or anything like that. He's got a YouTube channel. He has a fair amount of followers, but he doesn't do a lot of flat earth. All his flat earth work is on, my website and on, Facebook with the Future of Flat Earth, group and stuff.
Would he come on the show, do you think?
Yeah. You guys would understand him better than me. He's got this heavy British accent I've never heard before. It's deep. I play video games with him. We game together on the same team. And it's kind of tough sometimes with the time matchup, but we're on a Fortnite team, and we play together. And everybody that they call it fill, is where it fills in your team if you don't have other players to play with. And I would say 5 out of 10 of every person that plays with us, we flat smack the shit out of them, and they leave the video game a flat earther. And I had so many people that I've turned PlayStation into an actual pretty cool little platform where people message me on PlayStation now. Hey, can I get your Facebook group and stuff that you were talking about? That I find what you were saying really interesting. And, I've always paid attention to how Kyle talks and the things he brings up. And, this kid from the, from stars to sound waves and how light is produced to, you know, solo luminescence and stuff like that, and cymatics. This kid has it down, and you know, so like I said, he'd be an extra big gun to bring if if you're down a guy or whatever. You know, either on the next time or the second time, I'm sure I could get in touch with him.
That'd be
And
awesome.
yeah,
Is he on
he'd
Twitter
definitely come on. I don't know if he's on Twitter. You can if you can go on my Facebook page. He's actually on a ban right now too. He's on a 30-day ban, but he has a second alternate page, whatever, that he's using right now until his ban's up. I think it's like another like 10 days or whatever. But yeah, you can go onto my friends list on Facebook, whatever, and you can find him. It's Kyle Keaton. He has two of them. The one where he's sitting with a red chair behind him is his actual main page. Very low key on Facebook, but in the groups he's really open and big, and on the websites he's really open and big and stuff about, you know, everything. His personal page is just, he posts funny memes and stuff all day. But I would say probably, I did a post actually in the Future Flat Earth like a few days ago, and I go, you have 30 seconds to pick your 3-man debate team. Who are they? Tag them right now. And each person had to tag their 3 people. But I actually played by my own rule when I posted it. You know, I gave 30 seconds. Who am I thinking? And I said Kyle Keaton, Joel Justice, and Veronica Ball. Those were my 3 people that first came to my head, you know. And Kyle Keaton was at the top of that list because he just, I mean, he knows his shit, you know, better than probably 99% of the people I've ever, you know, talked with. So
I just want to mention to you, Brendan, that obviously coming out of the chat from tonight, and it's been useful, because where I was thinking about maybe going back to the university at some point, I'm definitely now convinced that it's definitely something I'm going to request officially. But
yeah,
the very fact he's 26 years of age, I like the idea that if we did do a subsequent visit, then even though obviously he is significantly older than them, you know, if they're like 18 and he's 26, but it's nothing compared to me being 55 and Roxanne, whatever she is, late 30s or whatever. So to have somebody that's actually not that far ahead of them in age, I think, especially if he's knowledgeable and you obviously are rating him, then that's really worth looking at, I think. And I think if we went back there and there was like the likes of Adam and, you know, and like Nathan and this lad and Roxanne and a few of us, then I just think that we'd just blow them apart.
Yeah, let me I'm gonna send him out a thing right now and see where, I want to see what part of the UK he's in. He keeps telling me he lived in London, but he's like, I think like 45 minutes, an hour away from London somewhere.
Okay, yeah, if you can find out where he is, that'd be useful. But with the actual place that we're going to for the debate is in Oxford.
Okay.
Which is in between London and Birmingham.
Yeah, I think he's within an arm's reach of there. Yeah, I'm sending out something right now. It would be a matter of him just saying to me, saying, hey, you know, go do this. It's gonna be really cool. You know what I mean? And we have a really good relationship with each other. And, you know, I'm usually pretty good at getting people to do stuff. Hopefully Cyndi comes on tonight.
I think at this moment, Brendan, I have to be careful about that. If you've got 2 debaters from their side, and you saw with the the particle physicist with allegedly Dave, that he, you know, he's got his PhD, he's coming in, he's got all the answers, and he got ripped to bits. So what I wouldn't want is we go there, we literally go in, hit it. I know what John said, and I understand to a point, but I'm steering clear from it a little bit, because the fact that if we go in really heavy, then it's like, yes, okay, we're going to blow a lot of them away. But what I want to do is I want to like bring them along, that they think, oh, wait a minute, some question marks about this, not be flat smacked so hard that it's gonna shake them to the core. And even though there's some benefit in that, in some part, there's going to be some negative. What I'd like to do is actually is to now push the subsequent visit, and then say, look, we can come back with a few other people, and because what it's going to do, it's going to show the depth, because it's gone from this reasonable level, nothing too heavy. They're going to do their little debate, because I don't expect their debaters to be up to much. I really don't. I don't want to be naive and say that and then be proved wrong. Obviously, I'll go into it, you know, knowing that it could possibly be more. But if we then came back and we had the likes of, you know, at least Adam for the second time if he can't make the first one, but have the likes of your guy and also Nathan and maybe Tony, whatever, because hopefully they're going to bring in some of their academics. Because the more that they think, oh, excellent, we got a chance of doing something with this, we'll get involved. If they get hit hard first time, they're not going to want to touch it.
I get the point you're making, Gary. I just want to check something with Walt, really, because it is a game. Walt, would you like play your Mega Charizard straight out.
Oh, that's great. I mean, you definitely want to keep a backup in your pocket for that one just last shot in case something goes awry. So, right. Yes, sir. Hang on to that Charizard.
And insert crickets.
No
here.
one has any clue what we're talking about, Adam. Pokemon, man. Pokemon.
I just sent out some messages for you guys to try. He's told me a bunch of times, but I can't remember. But
Well,
I know
I have to agree for sure with Gary in the fact that having someone that, it's always good to have all age groups represented. And definitely some of us are, a lot older than others.
But-
and having
but
that
what
young
I'll
blood
do-
helps.
If I find out, the thing is, if I find out that we're literally only got one bite of the cherry, and the two debaters, if they're like of a certain level and they're clearly used to doing debates and whatever, and it's like, wow, okay, this is on a different level, then obviously I didn't have to reach out to bring in some bigger guns. But because I'm not expecting too much, I mean, they were struggling to even find somebody to even do the debate side. So I think they're very curious. But what I want to do is almost do like a slow burn with them, because I want them to be intrigued where there is a bit of a back and forth. It's not like a power ride, and get them instead and have a chat with them and whatever, and then try to see if we can actually maybe have a subsequent visit, because I think that would be significant, really.
I think that power idea is key, is the whole idea of coming at this very humble, check egos at the door. It's sometimes we've been beat up so much as flat earthers. When we have that upper hand, we are human, and it's sometimes hard not to gloat a little and smirk perhaps a little, and definitely keep it humble, keep the egos checked.
My advice to you, Gary, is never underestimate the Oxbridge fraternity.
Oh no, I'm expecting them to be very bright, I must admit.
I actually thought you were going to say,
right.
thought you were going to say the Spanish Inquisition there, John.
I was waiting for it too, Adam. Thank you. No one expects things.
Oxford, Cambridge, they expect them to be bright, but expect them to be guided as well. These aren't sort of common a day institutions.
No, the other thing is though, John, is one of the things I can actually say is that I'm not a debater, and Roxanne, doesn't go through life doing loads and loads of debates herself. She's obviously very good at the activism, and she does a cracking job. But I can say that we're almost like Division 2 standard compared to, we've got people in the First Division, the Championship, and the Premiership that actually just make us look like we're just beginning. So
I wouldn't put it like that, Gary. I'd put it more.
So why would you put your B team up against their A team? If if you're going in for it, like we've said through the show, we've all got our own specialities. Let's put, if there is a debate on the table, then let's put our debaters up against them. You guys be the conduit to the flat earth debaters that are more suited to going up against the Oxbridge thing.
I'd view it a bit differently, John. I think, like Gary said, I think if you can get the idea that there'd be more than one, then I think the idea of a more open, engaging, sort of informative thing with a bit of debate is probably better. Just try and open up a few minds. And that way you might actually instigate a bit more debate within the colleges to get them to put up something.
More tangible.
But I think a sensible, more respectfully, if you're going to put up your best arguments straight away, that's a daft way of playing it. If you open up things to the colleges to debate and then consider and then come back for a proper scientific debate, so just have a more broad debate and have that as the foundation, so that nobody on their side gets into too much detail, but just to open the topic up with the opportunity to come back for a more scientific or more factually based argument.
Haven't you ever tried to hustle in snooker, John? Don't you know how to hustle somebody? You don't just go in there and start beating their ass every game. You got to let them win a few. You got to lead them on a little bit.
No, but I'd say you don't go in there with your best argument straight off. I think you go in there with your best arguers straight off that could easily lay the bread trail that you're trying to lay for them in a nice sort of cordial way, but are equally capable of sticking the knife in and twisting it when it's the time.
Yeah, that's a hell of a combination if you can find that in one single person to do over two separate instances.
That's it. I'm getting my passport ready.
I think we found two. I think we've got Nathan Oakley and Dr. John D.
Nathan
both
Oakley
have shown
known for his restraint.
No, I disagree. I think Nathan Oakley is 95% restrained, and it will only go for the throat when it is literally shown to him that it's a no-brainer. Now is the time to go for the throat. I think he's absolutely perfectly balanced in his logic, his reasoning, his even his manner.
No, he is. I love Nathan. I was just busting balls, so to speak, a little bit.
And same with John.
I know it's a character, sort of. Nathan very much presents himself in a way on the debate show that he doesn't normally carry himself sort of in real life. He's a little bit more pit bullish there on the debates. So he doesn't have to necessarily show restraint there. But I know that he's perfectly capable of laying out a breadcrumb and being a bit more seductive in his flat smacking.
Ryan, you doing a satanic ritual right now or something?
I'm digging the vibe. I'm just here.
I'm digging it. I like it. Although it's not real. Okay. You got me. They look real on film.
I'd burn myself down if that was the case.
That's funny.
AA batteries all the way.
Oh, I want to.
Can I just? Sorry.
You go, John.
You go, Gary.
No, I just wanted to conclude on the matter, unless anyone else had anything to say, is that because we are dealing with, and don't get me wrong, I'm not underestimating them, because like we said, Oxbridge caliber is obviously going to be high, but because what Adam was saying, and I agree that if we just literally have a debate that's on on a soft level, it's something that we open up. We're really trying to open up. What I want to do is open it up, that it opens doors for. It wasn't something I was thinking about heavily before tonight, but after talking to you guys and thinking it through, it's really the one thing that we want to do is see if we can develop this. Because if we can get into Oxford, and then people like in Cambridge hear about it, and we can then do something up there, then this could develop into something quite significant. But if we go in hard and just rip them a new arsehole, the one or two things are going to happen. Either they're going to bring out the lecturers or the professors or whoever, or they're just going to shut the shop up. And I just think that if you do a slow burn and gauge the quality, and then it's obvious that we're going to do another one, and next time we definitely need to bring out the likes of. The other thing is, if I already been there and sown the seed and find out exactly what's what, and it's clear that there's enough video evidence to show that this is something worth doing. The likes of Nathan has definitely travelled down from Leamington Spa, and Dr. John D would definitely come over from Brighton, and there will be a budget put together, because all they're doing, they're just going to pay like nominal travelling expenses. It's all very low key, but we've got somewhere to go with it. If it developed into something more significant, like they, for instance, got like a 1,000-seater lecture hall, and they're going to bring in one or two of the lecturers as well as a few of the students, and maybe one of the professors possibly. You imagine how significant that is, how brilliant that would be.
No, I think it's key. I mean, to get into Oxford or Cambridge or whatever, into these debating societies, no matter how tongue-in-cheek they're taking it, is absolutely key. But I think it's also key that we show um, our strongest cards, uh, but not necessarily go in and just rip them a new asshole. We just go in and display facts that they're gonna be forced to go away and look up and come to the same conclusions that we are. I just think this is an opportunity into the Ox- Oxford and Cambridge societies, and yeah, we need to.
Yeah, what
Right,
I'll do, John, yeah, I hear what you're saying. What I'll do is I will write to the lady and I will ask the question, because what will happen, she won't know the answer straight away, because she's basically part of a committee that are putting together different things, of which this is one of them. I will find out what scope there is for future development, because if it works out that it's going to be a one-off, there's no way it's going to go anywhere, and I can find out the caliber of the two debaters and how many people they think they're expecting. Because you imagine it, if there's 30 people there and the two debaters haven't really done a lot of research, they're just thinking that they just got to say, well, surely we're on a globe, they don't need to do much research because we're living on it. And then you got lots of Dr. John D, you got Nathan there, and it's basically not a waste of time, but it's not fair use of time, if that's the right way of putting it. But if I can find out that where we are with it and to what level are they planning this, and could we have another, like there's going to be a follow up, because we're already saying to them now that we can foresee the potential of a backup, because there's going to be questions. People are going to go away and do homework, and there's probably going to have a lot of questions that are going to be unanswered. And yes, we could give the email.
I would say you're the one with the platform. You're the one with the international conference. If these guys are interested, then let's get them to the conference rather than playing it on the playing fields of Oxford and Cambridge, which is notoriously I don't know, iffy.
If you want to make it, John, if you're talking about the big unis, the initial playing field that Gary's dealing with is the little small scale local debating. If you can generate enough interest in those to start to get to some of the bigger, more formal discussions that would go off and actually get something formalised, you've got a much more chance of actually getting one of the college professors to attend and maybe debate. And I think that would be
that's the goal.
Is bait
the
right word, Gary? Yeah. But you're not going to get them straight away. Well, unless you're really lucky, but I doubt it. You know what I mean? You're more likely to get a bit like what the guys encountered, Roxanne and that encountered in. It was Oxford, weren't it? Was it Cambridge? I can't remember which, but you got those that thought they were exceptionally well educated.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Ernest Pierce.
Hard to miss Ernie Pierce.
Yeah, you know who we're talking about. But he went up and he set up shop, and I mean, this is kind of just touching on the A list versus the B list flat earthers going for debate or whatever, He set up shop right in front of Harvard, and educational wise, Harvard's probably up there with one of the best in the world, and he had some top students going up and debating him. And Ernest isn't a debater, but he knows how to present factual evidence. It's objective reality. Once you understand your reality around you, and it's not everything a coincidence anymore, you actually get in touch with what objective reality is. Kind of presenting that to people really isn't that difficult, and you look, he was actually beating some of these top students from Harvard right in the middle of the road. I know it's not debate in the in a room or whatever, and it wasn't set up and questioned or whatever. It was kind of back and forth, but you look at it, I mean, he was keeping up with these kids, because he's just telling it like it is, so I think you'll be amazing. And I think if you just go there and follow your heart, I've been in that situation, debate. I know there was no audience, but I iHeartRadio audience. I think it's all kind of, people are going to hear it, you just go in there and I think you're going to do fine, man. You got all the facts you need. And no matter how educated these people are, what they're defending is so absurd that simple, basic, objective reality, that you present is easy to wake up at least some of the people or get some of the people talking about what's going on. And, maybe does this whole merit.
That's a lot of the time, isn't it, Brendan? Is that it's not done in a room. It's not done in any sort of staged environment.
Yeah.
Most of the time that you kick the ass out of a lot of people or make them think or make them wake up is when, it's just on the spur of the cuff. But a question for Gary, if you had your time again and you were approached by Philip Schofield and Good Morning, or whatever the hell they were, if you had the choice to put forward your candidate to represent Flat Earth on national TV, like Good Morning, would you put the same people forward again? Would it be yourself and Nesbitt and Kenny, or would it be what would you do?
It's a good question. I would, based on what I know today, I would like there to be 3 people, of which not one of them would be myself. And I would never have put myself forward. It's only because they wanted me there because of the convention. It had only happened a few days earlier. But it would be Nathan, Tony Riley, and allegedly Dave. And they would literally just, it would just be like a dream team.
I mean, Dave was there, wasn't he?
No. What happened is I tried to get Dave. I tried to get Dave there, and they were at first showing interest, and I gave them his contact details, and I really tried, even though it was going to obviously dilute what we were doing because there was 4 of us, and I was hoping for 20 minutes. I don't know if I've mentioned this in the past, but I was hoping for 20 minutes, and when we got there, they said you'll have 8. And I was really disappointed. And they said, I don't think you understand. 8 minutes on live TV is massive. We ended up with 10 minutes, 15 seconds. Obviously, they cut out the bit where I was talking about Brian Cox and bringing along a few actors, as in Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye, the idiot. And just on a side note on that, and I just love the fact of how it's growing. I mean, including the live audience now, we're literally about 40,000 short of 6 million. It's massive, and it just goes to show what Flat Earth is actually doing. It's growing.
Yep.
Yeah, hell yeah. Well, recently they put out, it was on that National Geographic that they said 2% of America didn't think they were on
6 million, wasn't it? 6 million.
Yeah, 6 million people. But that's what National Geographic are putting out, and they're owned by Disney, who are putting out this fake bullshit to us. So, I mean, 2%, get out of here. I reckon it's more like 5 to 10%. But yeah, 6 million people. And people say, yeah, it's just some, sort of couple of thousand people in a cult who think the earth is flat and stationary. Yeah, dream on. This isn't going anywhere. This snowball is not being stopped. I'm sorry.
But don't you think, though, that 2019, though, is already proving, I think there's something like 7/8 convention/conferences that are taking place, and including the tour, which is, I've got to push it again, it's absolutely massive. And I think TV companies and press are going to be all over it. That I think that by the time we get to if we have like a roundup at the end of everything that's taken place this year, and we come on and we discuss what's happened, you're going to connect a lot of people in Europe who are already flat earthers. You're going to connect new people that don't even realize they're flat earthers yet, and that's going to happen. You've got 2 conventions. Plus, you've got what happens in America and Canada, and there's New Zealand taking place. Obviously, Iru's only just done his thing. I don't know if you know this about Iru, but he had a 300-seat venue. He sold out in 2 weeks, and he had 200 people on the waiting list.
And you're part of this, Gary. You're making.
So are you. Oh, well. And I just want to, and I am going to drop another little hint here, is that I wouldn't want, and I want you to read between the lines of what I'm not saying. I do not want Nathan in Oxford if we can have somebody from Oxford being one of those physicists. I'll let you work out the rest.
No, there's a conundrum.
It wasn't Times crossword level, that.
His one thing is, I was actually trying to raise it at the Oxbridge level for John, but unfortunately, he's only at the local college. I'm only joking.
That sounds fantastic. But look forward to that, mate.
Yeah. So there is method in my madness, John. Basically.
Yeah, I'm waiting for you to join the dots. I will be on the page when you tell me what the hell you're on about.
Yeah, I will explain it, and
I'm not that cryptic.
I really can't go any further, even though somebody on a show did mention something that they shouldn't have done, but that's another story, and I won't say who, because you'll start looking. But all I will say to you is things are in hand.
Sweet.
And I'm sure you and I will be talking about this very soon.
So can I take a left turn a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
I have a question for everybody here. So I've been distilling my own water, right? And I knew my water was pretty nasty before I started distilling it. Just logically speaking, I knew it would be nasty because they are dumping lots of nastiness in there. So I distill it once, and there's a lot of brown, yellow, god-awful chlorine, makes you want to puke in the sink smell when you're done. I've just distilled damn near a gallon of water, but it doesn't necessarily taste like it's properly distilled. I have to go through and distill it a second time before it starts to taste clean. But there's nothing left over the second time I distill it. It's not like I'm distilling anything out of it again that second time. I'm just curious if that makes sense to anybody. Is anybody else having this issue? Does anybody have nasty as water as mine? Is mine just particularly?
How long have you had the distiller?
Maybe 6 weeks.
Has it always tasted this way?
Yes.
I think it's just a case of getting used to it. It tastes like boiled water to me.
Well, distilled once and distilled twice have two very distinct tastes. And that doesn't make sense to me. But that's the case. Everybody in the household has tested this and said, yes, this still tastes kind of funky. I can still kind of taste the chemicals in it. So I'll rinse out and I'll clean out my distiller, start from scratch, redistill it, nothing left behind, but it doesn't have that nasty taste to it. It tastes like a clean distilled water.
And it's stainless steel into glass?
Oh, yes, sir.
Interesting. Anyone?
I'm sorry, I was chatting with Cyndi on Messenger.
No, that's all right.
Yeah, she's preparing to come on.
Oh, excellent.
I think she's trying to figure out the app right now. She needs to download the app, or I sent her the link that you sent me. I don't know if it automatically.
She shouldn't have to. There should be an option, I thought, to be able to just use the browser. But I'm wrong.
I think I downloaded it when you sent it to me, anyways, to the computer.
Yeah, I think it does give you the option when you first click it to either go ahead to the browser or to download the app, or it tells you if the app's not downloading, click through, or I don't know. It's not as easy as we wanted it to be, for damn sure.
Well, there is a bit of a learning curve, I'm sure, just like switching from getting used to Hangouts back.
Right. When we went to Skype, we all lost our mind. So
I think this is the easiest, though. I actually like this one the best so far. I mean,
absolutely. Once we get these kinks out, it's
Yeah,
definitely most
we use this on FE Core.
We definitely need to work on our broadcasts and do a couple sound checks and listen back.
Yeah, that's the only thing we seem to be having trouble with, is getting everybody's sound equally present. Some people are really low in the mix. Some are, I don't know. Seems like somewhere there's an equalization that's just not carrying through to it all.
Shit happens, but
Yeah.
I'd like to say hello, welcome, and goodbye to Cyndi. I had hoped she was going to come on near the early stages, but I'm flagging here anyway. So, yeah.
As you say that, John.
As I say that, I can say hello, welcome, and goodbye, Cyndi. No, you got problems with this sound.
Well, we'll give her a second to get set up. Looks like she's still getting everything adjusted and arranged.
Yeah, I think she wants to shut off the camera or whatever. She's tired. Long day at work, I think.
Shh, I know how that is. Although today was the first day I didn't work any overtime, so yay me. Felt like a short day. It's 8.5 hours and I'm home. Nice.
Only had to be a slave for half my day. Not bad. Progress.
Hey, am I in this group?
You are.
You are.
Hi, Cyndi.
I have no idea how to use this. It's my first time. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. I will turn that video off for you if you would like. I can
Yes,
probably.
please.
Or actually, Adam, you might have to. You are the host.
I don't know how to do this. So walk me through it if you don't mind.
Down on the very bottom left-hand corner. There you go. Our host got it for you. He turned the camera off, so you should be safe.
I just noticed you'd sneak me in as host when I saw Cyndi flashing up. So, good evening, Cyndi.
Too, by the way.
Hi. I don't even know who's on here, but hey, guys.
That's it's Adam talking here. So, good evening.
Hi there.
John Savage here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Hi, Cyndi.
Here.
Oh, let Zachary do it. What's up, Cyndi? It's Brendan. How are you, hon?
Hey, Brendan. I've had a long day. I'm not gonna lie about that. I've had a really long day.
I hear you. Well,
You know
everybody
me.
appreciate.
You know me, Cyndi. It's Gary.
Oh, Gary.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
All good, thank you.
And hi, Gary. It's Gary. Hi, Cyndi. My name is Josh. It's very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I know you've had a long day, so feel free to sit back and relax. We're just going to hang out and get to know you a little bit. There's zero pressure. This is nothing to be concerned about. Just relax and try to unwind from the day and just hang out with us for a little bit.
Awesome. Thank you.
No, thank you. We appreciate all the time you're going to give us, anytime at all. We really appreciate it.
All right. Cool.
And hi, I'm Walt, Flat Earth Head. Glad to have you for sure, Cyndi. We've been looking forward to talking to you and getting to know you.
Great. Thank you. Gosh, how many people are in here?
There's a gang of us.
Party.
Any given week, there's at least 5 generally here on a Friday. So yeah. Let's see. Just a quick rundown who we are. Iron Rail Media. We found each other all on Twitter.
There's 8 of us, isn't there?
I'm sorry. What was that, Gary?
No, I'm just saying. I've just counted out. I think there's 8 of us on here. 6,
7, 8. Yeah. And Didi was here not too long ago. She would have counted. That'd have been 9. I think this could get pretty full. I think that's one of the benefits of having paid for the subscription to Zoom is you can get a whole pile of people in here.
I believe you can have 100, or you can actually broadcast to 100.
Oh my god,
that's awesome.
You can have more, but you have to pay extra for that.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Let's see. Yeah, Iron Rail Media. We found each other on Twitter about 2.5 years ago, maybe even longer at this point. We decided we wanted to try to get together and start sharing some of this idea that the Earth may not be a spinning ball hurtling through the infinite vacuum of space. And this is what we've come up with. This is the iteration where we are now. We've been broadcasting live on Friday nights here on YouTube for well about 2 years, I guess. So it's been 3 years since we've been together because it took us a while to get our feet running. But we've been here on YouTube for a couple of years doing our Friday night things for quite a while. We become great friends. So our Friday nights are really just a hangout for us, and it's a family, kind of like a family, but we use the FE because the Earth.
Oh, a family.
A family. So welcome, and we're very glad you get to join us tonight and hang out with us for a little bit.
Does everybody know who I am and why you guys even wanted me here?
Well, yeah, I was just going to get into that. We are all very well aware of you. When Brendan offered to try to see if he could get you on, we were all super excited. So we all made a beeline straight for YouTube and just see just how many interviews you could come up and listen to that you've been on. And man, you've been on a bunch.
Yeah, way too
I
many.
found out a lot more than I even suspected. It's amazing just how many you've been on. So
Yeah, I didn't anticipate doing that, but I'm kind of addicted to truth, and so I'll say no a whole bunch of times, and then I'll finally give in, and then I'll just, I'll do an interview, and one of the biggest ones was Jaron, obviously one of my first ones, and from there it just continued to grow, and then Matt Long with actually I think Matt changed the name of his whatever it is, he used to call it Flatworth, but he's calling it something else. Anyway, so those two videos have just been growing in numbers, just nonstop. And I've done little stuff here and there. And I just wanted to share kind of my experience with the United States government, only because I'm so anti-government now, and I'm not trying to out anybody that I worked with, because I never worked with anybody who would know the truth. But the people who are at the top, the people who know better and are just, pushing this lie, those are the people that I'm trying to help people discover and understand what they're doing. So that's kind of why I do this.
Well, that is a very valiant reason to do this. I know there's got to be a driving reason to get somebody out there and put their face out there and put their story out there. So thank you for your courage. I know that's no small thing. I'm sure you encounter all sorts of resistance and ridicule and all sorts of sort of just trolls and backlash for having done so. So we appreciate
it's been a really so a couple of times it got to the point where I was going to quit, and I deactivated my Facebook, and I tried to clear Google and YouTube of my face and name, and I sent out messages to everybody, and I said, hey, take my name off the video and just put ex-NASA contractor or whatever. And then, I'd go through my few months of this is a horrible experience, and then I'd come back and I'd start over again. So, no, there's a lot of trolls, and I think a lot of them are paid as well. I don't think that if you look at the majority, there's no picture. The ones that are like the same, they're in all of our groups and they're on all the videos, you'll see there's a trend. There's no face. They don't have a big following, and they're just in there and hating on the video. So you have to ask yourself, why? What is the reason why they would waste their time on a flat earth hangout, when they could be like with their family or their friends and out having fun, right?
100% agree, Cyndi. It's like the Mr. Smith and the Matrix, man. They just come from, every angle. I have nothing on YouTube to even remotely close to the extent, as far as views and stuff that you've had. And I think you've done an amazing job, and your story I think is pretty heroic. And that's why I kind of offered to see if I could get you on here and stuff. I think why don't you give everybody that's listening like an idea of your background and where you worked and what you did and stuff.
All right. So just out of college in 1996, I started working for Dryden Flight Research Center, which is a NASA facility located at Edwards Air Force Base. And so I was in my 20s. I was still a kid, but super excited. And I was totally asleep. I wasn't awake to anything. So from 1996 to 2000, I worked for NASA as a contractor. I was a direct hire, but a contractor. So I worked alongside all NASA employees in a NASA facility. So basically the paycheck came from a different place. That's the only difference between me and anybody else there. During my time there, I worked on the SR-71. I did IT support. On the SR-71, I was the one who did the plotter. So, for example, and I don't know how my sound is, so tell me if I'm not coming in clear.
You're coming in really good.
Yep,
Really
sounds
good.
great to me.
Yeah, you sound
very
great.
well. Please turn
So,
your camera on.
when the SR-71 would fly, it would come back with data, and that data was downloaded into something called a plotter. Well, I was the person who ran it. And so what this did was it printed out this huge sheet of, imagine like wrapping paper, something like that. That was the flight data from the SR-71. This was not space related at all. I did computer support. I built computers, hardware. I put in software. I did troubleshooting, trouble tickets. I was the backup administrator. So I did all the computer backups for the entire facility. So basically computer support. And then when I left there, I went to work for the Air Force. I was not military. I was a federal employee. And so I was, I don't know, some people don't understand the difference. So I was an actual Air Force employee, but I was non-military.
Yep.
And I did that for 5 years. And still just basic support. That was actually a secretary position. And then I wanted to become a nurse. So I left for about 8 months, and it just didn't work out. So I ended up working for Lockheed Martin in Palmdale. So when I worked for the Air Force, that was at Edwards Air Force Base as well. But it was the Air Force side versus the NASA side. They're both at the same base. When I worked for Lockheed Martin, that was in Palmdale, California, which is located, 45 minutes from the base that I was at. And I worked for the F1, I was on the F-117 program, and that program was coming to an end. So I was only there for 2 years, and then they retired those jets. That would have been approximately 17, 18, somewhere in there. And I went to work on another Lockheed Martin program, and that was a black program, which is basically beyond top secret. It's basically a program that doesn't exist. So I can't even discuss that one at all. And then I left Lockheed about, a year later, and I went to work for Raytheon down in Goleta, California, and worked on, again, that was more like secretarial, executive secretary. And then I ended up back at the Air Force for another 2 years, worked for the safety office, and then I worked on the F-35 program, doing so many more things. They cross-train you. So I was able to get tons of security training, and I don't even know, there's something called CBRNE, CBRNE, and it's chemical, biological, radiological, that kind of thing. They trained me on that, anti-terrorism, that kind of thing. So I was plugged in big time. When I finally left the Air Force, I went to work for Lockheed Martin in Fort Worth, and my final government position was in Fort Worth, Texas. Sorry, my text message. My final position was with Lockheed in Fort Worth, and that was just in a financial support position. And so the total of all those years was 15, just over 15.
So you were basically nose deep in it for a good portion of your life.
Yeah, pretty much my whole adult life. Yeah.
So Cyndi, sorry, John Savage here. Can I ask, you're not working for any of these people anymore?
Correct. In 2012, when I was with Lockheed Martin, they did a massive layoff across the company. I think it was 3,500 people across the board in all their facilities. Well, my position went away. And so they laid me off. And of course, I did unemployment for a while. Well, I had other sources of income that I really didn't need to work. So because I went through a divorce about the same time period, it was better for my children. I have 4 children. So it was better for them if I just stayed home. And I didn't initially plan to stay home permanently. It was just sort of a I'll do this for a little while and then I'll go back. And here in Arizona, they have Luke Air Force Base, which is where I thought I was going to end up working. But I ended up not getting hired on. I think either they knew about some of my, because I was already a truther in 2009. So in 2012, when I got laid off, I'm pretty sure they must have known that I was awake to so many other things, because I wasn't getting hired and I had enough experience to get a really good job. So I stayed home, and I'm still home now.
So did you ever get any kickback from this? Did you ever get a knock on the door or a phone call saying you shouldn't talk about this or that, or any
I'm
part of it?
just the only one that really means a lot. Like, yeah, there were some people that I worked with that, sent me messages, but the biggest one was my commander on the F-35 program. And we have another, we have a pilot, I can't think of his name, Goad? No, it's something like that. Anyway, he and I are friends, and we were talking about how he was a military pilot, and that he was talking about flat Earth, and my F-35 commander chimed in and he said, "Is this satire?" And I said, "No, sir, this is not satire. This is real." And he said, "Well, you're all wrong," because of course, he flies the F-35 and he can see amazing things that we could never see. Well, he and I worked together for a couple of years on the F-35 program, so we were really close at that time. He's also a Christian, I'm a Christian, and we were, we just really worked well together. And so he wrote me a letter. He actually wrote me a formal letter, and he sent it to me, and he said, "Stop." Basically, he said, "Stop doing this. All the people that you know and worked with, they're going to despise you, and they're going to say bad things about you." And I didn't know what to say, but that was the only thing that was really very formal. So that was probably a year ago.
Did you ever approach him back and say, as a Christian, you do understand that your book says it's a flat stationary plane?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I showed him a ton of evidence. And of course, he's a typical Christian that hates the flat earth truth. So he's not open to the verses that are obvious. They're plain to me.
Is that not an oxymoron, if ever there was?
I was just going to use that word, oxymoron.
Well, think how much time and energy they spend having to try to rationalize science in their school and the religion in the church and bring it together in some cohesive manner and still function in a society. They've got to have to make some serious, I don't know, things going on in their head where they're just saying, we'll just not pay too much attention to all these specific details, and we'll just believe.
Well, if he's flying jets, we all know that what he's seeing is a flat earth. So he tried to explain it away, and he said it's just an illusion. And, of course, they don't believe that it's space. And he said, "Well, I'm friends with a lot of astronauts." And I said, "Well, space is fake." I said, "They're doing it in a fake simulation of some sort, whether it's a green screen or whether it's a pool. I don't know. All I know is it's not real." And he was offended because he is friends with astronauts. And I said, "Well, regardless of your friendship with them, it's not real."
That's ballsy. Good on you.
Right?
Yeah, because he was my superior. And so I have a reverence for him, that because he was a really good, he was a good boss. He wasn't a bad boss. And so I always really, really liked him, and we got along great, and he loved my work, and I always did above and beyond. And so it was really difficult for me. I really had to bite my tongue and say, just be careful what you say back. And so I was really careful with him. And I probably have about 10 to 15 friends from my career on Facebook. A lot of them have blocked me. A lot of them unfriended me. I've lost hundreds and hundreds of friends that were my regular friends. And now I am inundated with friend requests from people all over the flat earth. And
I was going to say, Cyndi, have you, I mean, for all the friends you lose, have you gained friends, and has anyone touched out to you from, and said, I used to work at Raytheon or Lockheed Martin or NASA.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
I get messages all the time. I could say almost every single day that I get a message from someone I've never met who says, oh my gosh, your story has inspired me and given me courage, because there are people who aren't willing to go public, but they believe the flat earth as the truth. And so they hear my story and they're encouraged. And so, yeah, I get tons and tons of messages. The unfortunate thing for me is that I don't want thousands of friends. And so I have about 860 friend requests waiting right now. And the reason is because, number one, there's trolls, and I don't want any more trolls on my page. And the other thing is, it's just, you get to a place where you're not friendly anymore, and you have too many people, and then you don't have close friendships, and that's not something I'm looking for. And I'm not looking for fame or,
Wow.
It's just not
I'm with you, Cyndi, all the way. Gary, take note.
Yep. I will.
Okay.
Well, Cyndi, I have to ask, when this all began to dawn on you, and it just seems like it would be something that would be so hard to not want to talk about with your coworkers or your people, right there in the cubicle next to you, or whatever the situation actually was. I mean, repeatedly we're asked, well, how could there be such a huge lie? And, I mean, it all goes back to, I'm sure, compartmentalization and need to know and et cetera. But I mean, is it something you did talk about before you kind of got out of the situation there at the,
So there's three things I'll touch on. Number one, the first thing that I remembered when I found out that the moon landings were fake is that when I worked at NASA, the photo lab was right next to my office, and I overheard two of the photog guys coming out of their office and laughing and saying they couldn't believe that anyone believed in the fake moon landings. Now, this was way before I was awake, and I was a kid. I was in my 20s. So I just thought they were crazy. Then fast forward to 2006, 2007, when I was on the F-117 program, one of my engineers said the Earth was flat, and the only thing I pictured was the flat Earth in space with the water falling off the sides.
Right, turtle underneath, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, and so I didn't know, and he didn't give me enough information for me to actually process what he was saying. And I think that we both kind of got uncomfortable with that topic, and so I didn't really touch on it again. But if you go to 2009 in my life, that's when I woke up to everything except flat Earth. So in 2009, I was working for the Air Force, and I started to ask some of my coworkers, what do you think about this 9/11 thing? Or what do you think about the fake moon or the moon landings in general, or, HARP or chemtrails? And I would point these things out. Well, there were actually people that I worked with on the Air Force side who were awake to those things. And so we would go out to the flight line. The flight line is where the jets pull in, and they kind of park the jets. The reason we didn't talk about it inside is because the buildings, we believe,
Wired for sound.
Correct. Yeah. And I don't believe in privacy. I don't think that any of us have actual privacy. Whether it's your TV or your phone or your whatever, fill in the blank, your vehicle. I don't believe we actually have any privacy. So I don't even care. Like, I sometimes I'll just flip off my phone. And yes, I'm a Christian, but I don't like the government and what they're doing. So there are people who are very awake and aware of most truths. But this flat Earth thing, I didn't wake up until 2012. I'm sorry, 2016, and I hadn't been working since 2012. And so the only people I had to deal with were my children. I was already divorced, and so I didn't have a spouse. And so I basically just took some time with my oldest son, and now he's a flat earther. He's 27. So just to give you an idea, he's 27, I'm 49, and then I have a 17-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 10-year-old.
Oh. Yeah, one thing I can definitely say, Cyndi, is you're an amazing mom. I see that by being friends with you on your personal page and stuff, and very not just courageous in what you've come out with, just courageous as a mother. You do a very good job, you know.
Thank you. And that's my job now. So I have to do a great job.
Yeah. I think, I mean, personally, I feel like a lot of us that kind of put ourselves out there to do it, you know, I think yours kind of came more steamrolled at you when all these views started happening on YouTube and stuff like that. And like you said, you went through a period of time where you're like, hey, just remove my name and blah, blah, blah. And I get that because I've kind of felt a certain way, but I've always tried to put myself out there to prove flat earth and stuff. And you put yourself out there. I honestly think that, you know, why some of the people can talk about it, like you said, some of your friends know, but they won't talk about it, or these people from Raytheon or whatever will message you and say, hey, you know, I know all about this, you're courageous, what, you know, your story is inspiring me. I think that some of us, like yourself, have a more of a spiritual guidance to do this, you know. It's something divine, it's something a little more than, oh, I just want to get out there and put flat earth out there, or put, you know, NASA and how they lie out there. I think there's a driving force behind it with people like you. So it's very admirable.
You know what I think? I honestly believe exactly what you just said. So as I try to figure this out and try to understand how this worked, I truly believe that God put me in that position.
Yep.
And then continued to put me in positions that would give me some kind of insight. And then fast forward to May of 2016, I just believe that God gave me that experience so that in 2016, I would be somebody who could say, it is definitely compartmentalized. It is definitely extremely easy to hide. I mean, you can really hide anything you want. You can create a program within the government and call it whatever, you know, just whatever you want, and then make it secret or top secret or app or whatever it is that you want to make it. And the people have to follow that. The security measures are so very strict that you wouldn't even want to. So just for instance, if Flat Earth was a program, or the Globe Earth, I guess, it would be so easy to make it so people could never speak about it. Because number one, your life, your entire career, your family, how many people have been killed over the years for speaking truth, or, you know, lost their career, or, you know, just so many ways to destroy people. It's extremely easy. And so I do believe that God put me in this position many years ago in order to then take away my career, because I don't have it now. And then once you don't have your career, you don't care.
Yep.
So I'm one of the few who doesn't have that. I don't have to worry about it.
Yep. I think a lot of people go into silence though too, like as far as like people in your position. I think a lot of people go into silence after they get out, you know. I know somebody that was in like Admiral Byrd's missions, and when he got back from them, the daughter told me that the guy literally left society. You know, he was on deep freeze and high jump. I've seen his patches, his jacket. He does all the patches and stuff. And, you know, he came back, and whatever he saw there, he disappeared. He's gone. He went into he ended up dying, living off the grid. And I just think some people have the courage to do it. Some people have that spiritual drive like yourself, and some people just see it and they're just like, you know, F this, I'm out of here. I don't want nothing to do with what's happening in this world. So
guess I'm both.
Not to be morose or anything, but Cyndi, have you ever felt threatened? Have you ever been contacted, etc.?
No. In fact, I was actually kind of surprised, to be honest with you, that So how many years have I been doing this? 2.5 years, right? Let's see, May of 2016. You know, you have people who go to Facebook jail or whatever. I've never had Facebook jail. I've never had anything from Facebook that was censored. I've never had anybody contact me and threaten me, although I have had trolls that were threatening, but that's different. I don't take those seriously. My F-35 commander contacting me, I think that's kind of their way of saying this is someone she respected. Let's have him reach out to her. I don't know why they let me do it. I don't know why.
You haven't had the black minivan following behind your car yet or anything like that.
Not that I've noticed. I'm pretty aware. I'm a prepper too, so I'm pretty aware of my surroundings. I also have a lot of guns.
There you go. Love it.
So what do you think about the idea that Flat Earth was designed to come out, it was given the okay?
I thought about that too for a long time. I thought maybe they wanted it to be released. Now, when I'm 2.5 years into it and it's still not, I'm questioning whether that's something that I don't know. It's obvious for you and I, all these people on this chat, we can see it so clearly. It's like, it's not even something that we have to think about anymore.
6 million Americans, though, Cyndi.
Right.
And that's by their figures. I mean,
it's so much more than that right now.
You know it is.
It's so much. They did a youth study, and it was literally 1/3 of the kids inside of, grade school, on a grade school level. 1/3.
That's right.
They didn't say the Earth was flat. They said we don't know what shape the Earth is, and trust me, that's more than a start. You know what I mean? I think it's. I'm looking worldwide. I would probably put the number close to 75 to 100, maybe 200 million people. I think just most people are just like shell shocked and don't talk about it, or they kind of sit on the sidelines, and let us get out there and put our names out there, to talk about it.
Most people probably don't want to say anything because they're going to be ridiculed.
Yep.
And they probably see enough of us losing family and friends that ridicule is enough. You know what I mean?
There's almost not a day goes by where one of my sons doesn't come home from school and say that someone in the class said the Earth is flat.
That's amazing. I love it.
Sent to the principal's office or whatever. I mean, this stuff is spreading. For those guys that, say about a year ago when we were on Twitter, and they were sort of saying you're a tiny little cult that no one cares about. I'll stick to my sentiments then, is that you're irrelevant. I don't care about you. You're utterly irrelevant, because this snowball is going to overtake you all and absolutely flat smack you into the ground, whether you like it or not.
Yep. I just think it's at a point. I think it's at a point now where we don't really have to fear by putting ourselves out there. People, that are out there doing documentaries or out there, in Cindy's position, explaining where, her roots and how she knows, that they're lying to us. I just think they're at a point where there's a little bit of damage control going on, but at this point they're kind of just, they're rushing to get whatever their agenda is done, and they're kind of just letting the snowball go. And there's nothing they can do to stop it now. So if if they went after somebody who is exposing them, I think that would just make it even more in our benefit. And it would say, oh whoa, Eric Dubay just disappeared. He's dead now, mysteriously. I mean, there's so many people in the truth community right now that if something like that happens to somebody, it's going to roll. I mean, there's going to be people outrage everywhere, and then they're going to be posting.
You're answering the exact question I was going to ask Cyndi. Yeah. Is her safety maybe attributed to the fact that she came out so open and quickly and got so many of those views so quickly that kind of lent her a little protection? Rather than somebody who's hiding at home, not saying what they know, and just maybe an email gets across.
Mike Helmick, I don't know if you guys know who he is, but I did a hangout with Mike pretty early on, and he mentioned that very thing, and he said it's the people who are hiding and don't want to say anything that he's more worried about, but the people who are open and have an account, whether it's Facebook or whatever, we have enough people keeping tabs on us, basically, that they're not going to. So if something happened to me, they'd have to have like this big cover up, and what are they going to do with all my kids? And I mean, right? Not to say that they wouldn't or couldn't, because I've seen enough stories that I know that they pretty much don't care about humanity. They really just, to them.
I like to look at it another way also, like at an esoteric side almost. They, as long as you don't join the club and go through the rituals and, you know, say, you know, I'm putting my soul on the line here and I won't divulge your secrets and this and that, like what a lot of the secret societies make you do when you join them. If you don't do that, I don't know if they can actually harm you.
Oh, wow. You could be right.
They have to follow certain rules as well. There's it's like a game almost. There's certain rules, like they have to tell us what they're doing in certain ways. I think if you don't join 100%, the club, then they're less likely to hurt you.
I do have clearances. So when you get a clearance, you not only get a background check, but you have a ton of documents that you have to sign saying that you will never speak about anything on that program. Now, the one thing I have not done, I've never spoken about any of my programs. The only thing I've ever shared is my work experience, basic work experience, and the things that I was told or overheard that were not related to any of my programs. So I really haven't done anything. You know, I have people say, you know, don't say too much. And I already know if it's classified, I'm not going to talk about it. If it was something I signed that said I wouldn't talk about it, I won't. So, yeah, and I'm not a dumb person. I know better. I'm not going to give them any reason to come after me.
Just kind of play the fence, you know, within your boundaries, and, you know, give as much truth as you can. So that's a smart way to play it for sure.
Absolutely.
One thing I actually always wanted to ask you, and you kind of touched on it, was like you brought up like how compartmentalized NASA is, and I think a lot of people, that's their go-to thing, like, oh, how could everybody be on the lie? And I fully understand that it would be very few people could spread this lie when you have very few people controlling the world. When you're in NASA and you were actually walking through there, or, you know, talking to certain people, was how compartmentalized it is really that evident? I mean, were those signs like everywhere? You can't go here. You can't say this to this person. You can't say this to that person. You just saw it everywhere.
Everybody has a badge. Every single person wears a badge. There is not one person on site without a badge. If you're a visitor, you get a visitor badge. If you work there, you have your work badge. And every single person's badge said what they were allowed to go into based on a number or a letter or a color. And so in my 15 years, it was just different in each program, or different with each, you know, whether it was Air Force, Lockheed, or NASA. Sometimes it would be a color. So we'll say red let you into specific areas that were red. You know what I mean? If it was A, then you could only go into A programs, and then so on. And so that you fill in the blanks with letters, numbers, and colors. That badge, if you went, and also a lot of them had, say you want to go into a special access area. There's a thing on your badge that you put in front of a plate on the wall, and it will open the door. If you don't have that in your badge, it won't open the door. So you can't even go in. Most of the areas I worked in were special access. So I would have something that gave my badge a special access to open specific doors, but not all of them. So even within my special access areas, I can't open all the doors. And I'm not allowed to talk about anything in the program with anybody outside the program.
So it's just, I mean, to keep a secret, it's very easy inside those places.
Yeah, it's all doors, locked doors. There's no windows. A lot of it was underground. My black program was underground. You can't, and then a lot of them had even white noise at the doors, so that you couldn't hear what was going on inside a room on the other side of the room.
Wow.
And that, yeah. Yeah.
That's
We
kind of
figured out
wild.
ways to keep secrets.
Yeah.
Have you ever had anybody try to pry? Like
My
that-
ex-husband.
Yeah.
My ex-husband didn't understand why I wouldn't tell him. He said, we're married. And I said, I'm not allowed to tell my children or my spouse anything. He's the only person who ever pried.
So I'm assuming your spouse did not have a clearance?
Correct. He was just a regular person. I was the military person or whatever.
He was a regular.
Basic.
Cyndi, we have somebody in chat, bling bling the BS of the ISS, asking if anyone there ever felt it was strange they did not have all that access, that they weren't allowed to access so many areas. Did anybody ever speak about that or try to
I
get
didn't.
places they shouldn't?
Well, me personally, I never met anybody like that. And myself, I'm such a patriot, I guess, that I wanted to uphold the rules, especially because you're taught really early on about terrorism and how we have to keep everything under guard. And so you're almost like guarding you're helping them to guard from each other in hopes that enemies, quote enemies, I don't believe in politics anymore. I don't believe in war. I don't believe in any of it. But then I did. And so you would want to help your own government to keep secrets because you don't want your enemies to get to those secrets, right? So the majority, I would say probably almost 100% of the people who work for the government want to support that effort to keep our information from foreign enemies. I now don't believe in foreign enemies. I do believe in an elite who are running the show and they pull the puppet strings for the people who are the faces. So we'll just use Trump as an example. I'm not political, so I don't vote. I don't get into any of these things. But Trump would be an example of someone, if you're very political, you'd want to support him. And then in supporting him in your job, you're going to make sure that you hold all the secrets, just like they taught you to hold all the secrets. And so we're all sort of brainwashed into this thing where we're like, okay, we're going to protect our country and we're going to protect all of our secrets. And so we do. And I did.
Well, I applaud your evolution of thought. It's a huge leap, not one that many can make, especially as deeply entrenched in it as you were, to come out on the other side so free in thought as to be able to look at it all and just wash your hands and say, nope, no, thank you, not any of it.
Well, it was Flat Earth that helped me see it. Once I started putting the puzzle pieces together and I realized what they were doing, everything sort of unfolded for me, kind of like the Matrix movies, where he finally can see what's happening. It was like that. It was like, first I freaked out and then I got scared and then I cried a lot. You should have seen my first 3 months of this stuff. I was a basket case. You get mad, you get sad, you go through all these emotions, and then on the other side of it, you start to be smart. Well, I wanted to understand it. So my goal was to understand what the heck, why would they lie about it? And of course, money. That's the obvious, but it's not just money. I don't believe that that's even the core reason. I don't think money is real anymore. I think money is a facade, and it's a way to handle your people and manipulate. And people need money to survive, and so survival instincts overtake the way people behave. And so how else can you do that but to use manipulation? Well, you have to have something to use, kind of like bribing your kids. Hey, if you want this, I'll give you this. Kind of the same.
Cyndi, I think I have a question that I don't believe anybody's ever asked you before. I can't imagine that. I think I've come up with a pretty good one. Keep you on your toes here. If you could go back, right, with the knowledge that you have now as a full-on flat earther, but go back to those areas where you worked in NASA, Lockheed Martin, is there anything that you kind of regret not looking into that you had access to? Maybe like, I'll give you an example. You did Blackbird, you worked on the SR-71, I think it was, you were saying?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Like,
question.
it's speed as opposed, you get this data. Is there anything you had access to or, throughout there that you wish you could go back to, like knowing what you know now, to look into a little further to give you some more knowledge on flat Earth or anything like that?
It's possible. The data from the SR-71 may have had clues. I've never really thought about it like that. I have thought about what it would be like if I was still working there, and it doesn't seem appealing to me. It seemed a little bit scary, to be honest with you, which is probably why nobody will come forward if they are still working. But there was enough information in front of me that might have given me clues to the shape of our Earth just from the flights, just from flight data.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, like, looking back now, you could have, there's maybe something that you had access to, but you didn't have to pay attention to it. Some like certain things like that. Like, that's how I would feel if I was in your position. I would look back and go, oh, what did I miss when I was in this position to see certain things or have access to certain things and stuff. So I think that's pretty cool, though. I mean, especially the SR-71. I mean, that plane alone proves flat Earth, and it's funny that you have pilots saying that the Earth is round.
One of our pilots, our SR-71 pilot, I'm not going to think of her name. Darn it. Anyway, she was an SR-71 pilot when I worked at NASA, and so was her husband, Bob. Oh, Marta Bonmeyer was her name. Bob was her husband. They were both SR-71 pilots. And of course, I had a lot of respect and admiration for both of them. Back in 2018 or 19, she mysteriously died in a Cessna air traffic accident. And I thought then, because I was awake already to most things, I wasn't awake to flat Earth, but I thought she must have known something, that they could have just decided that she was going to die in a Cessna crash. Because if she was an SR-71 pilot, she couldn't have died in a Cessna.
Yeah.
There's no way. Absolutely not. She would have been prepared. She would have had enough experience that she would not have crashed in a Cessna.
Yeah.
Cyndi, have you ever heard of Dr. Jolie?
Tia.
Tia Jolie.
Yeah.
No, I have not.
Who's a US Air Force high altitude pilot, PhD. I'm not going to say she's a flat earther, but is
I'm not gonna say she's not.
Yeah, hard to. Yeah, someone to introduce you to, without a doubt.
Say that again.
It's someone to introduce you to, Dr. Tia Jolie on Twitter.
Okay. All right, I'll
US
check
Air
her out.
Force pilot. Yeah, absolutely.
I've never even heard of her.
She's not flat Earth, though.
Well, I don't think we could say that she's not a flat earther. I don't know that we could have any direct evidence to point and say, look, see, she's definitely a flat earther. But if that's where my money would go if I had to put money down.
Wow.
Well, or she's one of those, she's like Gary, she's not a baller.
Okay, and there's a lot of that too. there's a lot of people who don't believe in the moon landings, but they're not on board with flat Earth. Probably more the stigma than anything, I think. What's this comedian that just came out? Owen Benjamin, I think.
Owen Benjamin, yeah.
So I don't think this is fake. I mean, it's possible he could be messing with us, but I think he figured out the moon landings were faked. And now he's like, wait a minute, what else is fake? And he seems like he's on the fence, but maybe he just doesn't want to talk about it.
I have a really good judge of character, and I can tell you 100%, I'd bet my life that he was being genuine in that YouTube video where he kind of lost his mind there. He had brought up something about the moon landing, like I think a few months ago, and what sparked his interest in flat Earth or started planting those seeds is people started going, "Oh, what's next? You're going to be a stupid flat earther. You're going to be people kept on attacking him, saying you're going to be a flat earther." And I think those were seeds planted in his head, going, "Wait a minute. You know what? Why am I being attacked for something I'm not even labeling myself as right now? I'm just saying these moon landings are fake. Wait a minute. They lied about the moon landing. Oh shit. Maybe I should look into this flat Earth thing." I have a good friend of mine that knows him personally, a comedian that knows him personally. And, a lot of these comedians, they're not dumb people. Like I said, I did the iHeartRadio with, it was 3 comedians. A lot of them are very educated people, and they found a way to, be funny and make a living at doing it. So they basically work one night a week and they make very good money doing it. So I consider that a pretty smart business move on their part, but they're very educated, very smart people. That's why you see a lot of some of the actors, when you take them, out of their comfort zones, like comedians, even Jim Carrey, you take him out of that funny role and he's an amazing actor because he's got a lot of intelligence, a lot of, pain and hard work to be where he's at. So I think 100% that Owen Benjamin was being completely honest and genuine. And he even said himself, he goes, "If I don't want to be a flat Earth person, I'll just disappear for a few weeks. I'll probably hide in this room over here or whatever." And I think that's just what we're seeing here, because I had been talking with Eric Dubay, and I just asked him, "Hey, when's this going to happen? I'm really interested in this." Because people kept on saying, "Oh, it's going to be a debate. It's going to be a debate." That wasn't a debate before he even got off YouTube that live that night. It was not even going to be a debate at that point, because he had already started questioning his own beliefs, so it would more be like a classes in session. Now Eric Dubay is going to school Owen Benjamin on flat Earth. Nobody's going to want to debate that, but yeah, I think what he did was pretty amazing, and I think, like I said, in my opinion, 100% genuine.
And I'll tell you, this is how I found flat Earth. It showed up on my feed, and it was Tiger Dan, 75 biblical proofs of flat Earth, and as a Christian, and having sort of had it show up in my life several times, I was like, I'm just going to watch the video. I'll tell you the truth. The 75 biblical proofs was cool, but what really intrigued me was the fact that underneath it said, "I'm no longer a flat earther." And I started to read the comments, and that intrigued me, because I thought, first of all, if you're a flat earther, then why would you suddenly come out and say you're not, unless somebody was tying your hands or you were being threatened? Because I was already awake to most things. Had Tiger Dan not put "I'm no longer a flat earther," I probably would have just watched it and then just left it at that. But I wanted to investigate and understand. Well, because he finally says it's because of the map. Well, now, so I've got to investigate the map. So I investigated everything. I watched all his debunking flat Earth. I watched all his flat Earth. And then I read all the comments, and I was like, he didn't actually stop believing in flat Earth. I think somebody got to him. I don't think it has anything to do with the map, because none of us have a map. We don't even know. Like, we don't have enough information to have an accurate map. So it couldn't be that. Not even the globe map is accurate. So if we don't have an actual map for the globe, then we don't have one for the flat Earth either. Then that means someone got to him and he changed his mind publicly to appease somebody else. That was what got me hooked.
So that right there was just a little red flag that just popped up and just kind of sent you on the journey?
Yep.
That's amazing.
What was the first, like actual 3 months? Like, how did you adjust to it? Was it kind of an easy transition? Was it more
No,
of
it was terrible. It was horrible.
so
Like,
it was a bad one? Okay.
it was if you're coming from aerospace, if you're coming from government, you really, really believe and trust your government, right? So I had to understand not only was everything else a lie, like 9/11, I already knew all those things were a lie, that they were poisoning us with chemtrails. Suddenly, I have to now wrap my head around the fact that my government is lying about the shape of where I live. How bizarre is that? It's just bizarre. So that really messed me up. I used to shoot bow and arrows in my backyard. It's just one of my things I like to do. I used to have a mattress propped against a tree, and I'd go on one end of the yard and shoot it. Well, one night I was out in the backyard looking at the stars and the moon and trying to fathom the earth. I just threw the mattress off the tree onto the ground, and I laid down and I looked up at the sky. I just started crying. I was like, this is all big fat lie. I have to relearn everything. And I just laid there and I cried. And I don't know that it sounds weird, but this isn't something simple. It's simple now, but when I first had to try and fathom all this, it really messed me up.
I try to cope with that myself. I totally get you.
How about now, though? How's it? Is it something? Were you more comfortable living the lie then?
No.
Or you? Okay, so you're more comfortable. You've adapted to the truth.
I love it. I crave it now. Like when I drive, I just had to drop my daughter off with her dad, so I was driving back up the mountain. I had the sun shining on me, and there were clouds that had the crepuscular rays, and I was like, "Yep, it feels good," because I know.
It's definitely you see certain things, and like I get a good sunset and sunrise from my from where I live, and when you kind of see the sun going away, as a a flat earther, you get some sort of, I don't want to say divine spiritual energy that comes through you, but it kind of is. You kind of see God's handiwork, and I think that once you kind of come out of that, holy shit, everything that's ever been taught is a lie. And you kind of adjust. You have a big adjusting period. It wasn't as bad for me. I kind of adjusted real quick, but I don't think there's any rhyme or reason to why some people, it takes months for some people. Some people just go into full Mr. Smith mode. Some people can it clicks right away, and they're like, hell yeah, the earth is flat. This is awesome. It's different for everybody. And the reason behind that, the psychology behind that, I mean, I have no clue, but I think just knowing that you're in a comfortable spot where you are now and stuff, I do agree that the flat earth brought you closer to God, even being a Christian prior to being a flat earther.
Yeah, I was saved at the age of 25. And I've read the Bible like pretty much on a daily basis since age 25. I was a big time church goer. Now I'm anti-church, but I'm not anti-God. I'm anti-establishment and religion, which is different than having a relationship with the creator God and Jesus, who I believe Jesus was real and one of those rare people. I'm more at peace because I understand he's directly above us. He's not spinning around in some weird foreign, universe. He's literally right above us, just like the Bible says. And so the peace that comes with that, I'm like, I don't even like nothing really. It's not like my life before. I have peace no matter what. Yeah, I've been going through some stuff. My little boy has been really sick. And that is no lie. He almost died 3 times. But outside of that, I'm good. I moved up to this house. I sold this big, beautiful home, and I bought this house up in the mountains. And I'm just waiting for the end because I believe we're in the last days. And but I don't go to church anymore, and I'm not a religious person. My faith is so much stronger than it ever was.
Isn't it funny how that works? So you stopped doing the religious things and you became closer to God, and it just shows you how powerful the flat earth is and how you can actually start separating the church and what it is and who controls it and the money behind it and the system behind it. And then you become a flat earther and you're not doing those things what a normal Catholic or Christian or Muslim or whatever would say would make you more religious. You're actually closer to God after becoming a flat earther. And I personally think that that is the main reason why this has all been hidden from us, because not just the people that were close with God prior to becoming flat earthers, it's just the people that aren't even have a relationship with him at all, you know, and they would have a relationship with some sort of intelligent design. I know a lot of people think, you know, God, they like, you know, a guy up in a cloud, you know, when you actually start looking into it, it's more of a beautiful energy source, a creation, you know. And you know, for me, I do the same thing as you. I look at certain things in the sky, like you look at nighttime and you see the stars up there. And I've been at nighttime explaining flat earth to people, and I'll point up and I'll go, you see those lights up there? That's a floor. You know, it's above that water. You know, it's above that God. He's not far away. And I'll be pointing. He's right there. You know, and I use the stoplight, the red light reference that Mark Sargent used. And you know, whether you like him or not, I think it was one of the best flat earth references in the history of flat earth. And he says, if you come to a red light and you run the red light, we've all done it. But if you come back to that red light and you got a ticket in the mail because there's a camera up there, and you're not going to run that red light because you don't want to risk getting that ticket in the mail and losing your license, you know, and that red light camera is basically flat earth or God in a nutshell. You know, if everybody knew that they had him that close, I believe that the earth would be peaceful for the most part. And I think we would be more of I think if we transition now, it'd be more of a utopian society. But I think we would be all at peace if everybody knew that his footprint was right above us.
Can I say this real quick? Because one of the people who really affected my my initial journey was Dave Moore. Dave Moore's videos back in 2016 were powerful. What I don't like is that he's changed it into sort of a racial divide. And what you just said to me, I don't believe in race. I don't believe in racism. I believe that humans are easily brainwashed and that they can be manipulated to believe that humans somehow hate other humans based on, you know, stupid little, whether it's,
differences.
You know, yeah, differences that don't even, I mean, it doesn't even make sense. I don't follow Dave Moore now because Dave Moore has gone so far away from the comfortable peace that comes with flat earth, and it's changed into something different. And you're right, if we knew and understood what God created us for, we wouldn't have people killing each other. I mean, maybe we would, but not on this level.
We probably wouldn't have to lock our doors at night, I would say, if everybody knew, if we grew up from the very beginning of time knowing that we were in a creation and there's a consequences for our actions. You know, the war machine, NASA, all these fake government agencies, all these manipulative agencies. I mean, none of this, you know, even borders, I don't believe would exist to a certain degree. You know, governments would be gone and stuff. And, you know, yeah, I just think flat earth is that important. You know, people always say, oh, well, it's, you know, what does it matter? And I'm like, literally everything you do, from the energy.
And I think that everything, that why would they lie, that aha moment, that if you're any intelligent person and have any kind of in touch with your own soul at all, there is that moment when you're looking into the flat earth for that first time and you get that bottom just falls away and you're like, wow, somebody is out there. And now I have to realize my life's different. Now I have to be accountable for some shit I wasn't holding myself accountable for. And that, I think, throws that huge wall of that disconnect happens, the cog disc kicks in, and you become the flat earth idiot in their eyes.
And that makes sense. I'm sorry, my kids are asking for my help.
Nope, that's all right. You help your kids. We don't mind. We don't mind it. It's worth it. I gotta say, you got me grinning ear to ear, Cyndi. I'm really
I was actually gonna get off when she got on. That's what I was planning to do because I had promised my wife I was gonna get up there. But once she started talking, every time I hear it, you know, every time I hear her, I kind of get into it and stuff like that. I think it's one of the best flat earth testimonies or truth-seeking testimonies that anybody can get. You know, so I kind of got stuck to my headset.
And I don't see myself like you guys see me. Like I'm just a regular person in my mind. Like I'm just a mom. But So God obviously thinks a little bit more of me, or he wouldn't have put me in a position where people have, like, I don't know. I'm not looking for admiration, but kind of an admiration just because I'm bold and brave. And
Oh yeah, and you are. I remember you had saw my first documentary, and you had actually messaged me for the first time, and I think I was telling them that. And I look at my messenger and I was like, oh, I got a message from Cynthia Holland. I was like, oh, that's freaking awesome. And you were like, yeah, I just saw your video or something like that. And
Yeah.
just let you know, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, and I remember showing my wife, hey, look at this lady used to work for NASA. She's really cool. And I showed your wife, my wife, your YouTube videos and stuff. And, you know, I thought it was really cool when we had actually eventually linked up and stuff. I had felt like, all right, now I'm making a difference. People are actually seeing what I'm doing. And, you know, I felt real proud of that and stuff. So I really appreciate you reaching out.
Well, your work is really good too. You're touching, just so you know, you're touching tons of people, and you're making a positive impact on many people. I hear a lot. I'm doing too many things at one time. Sorry. I'm hearing a lot of positive feedback about your work. So just so you know, you're actually making a difference too.
I
Brendan
really
has
appreciate
definitely
that.
taken activism to a new level when he took his little trip. I believe he showed us all what activism can truly be. Amazing.
I questioned whether I was going to make it back alive. That's definitely crossed my mind a couple times, and you know, the whole why the hell am I doing this kind of came across a couple times. But that's why I always kind of go back to that spiritual drive. And like what drives you guys to have this show, and you know what drives you know Ryan to want to host them, and you know, I mean, all these spiritual forces that come behind us all. I felt protected. I felt protected, and I still feel protected, even though I know I have a target on me, and I'm sure Cyndi probably has a target on her, but we're protected by something else that's guiding us and protecting our families. And yeah, I strongly believe in that. You're going to question things regardless. I'm sure there's been times where Cindy's like, damn, I wonder if they're on to me or something. I've had those things happen to me a bunch of times and stuff, but then I always remind myself that God is real, and this awakening is working through us all right now. That's why I just think that I got asked a question, and Cyndi could probably elaborate on this too, is what's the difference between somebody who can see the facts and wake up to them, and see the facts and want to go against them? What is it inside them? And people will look for a scientific answer, and you will never find a scientific answer. They'll be like, oh, well, this person's more indoctrinated. We were all indoctrinated to a level where you can't say it's a level of indoctrination that either makes you an enemy of the truth or a truth seeker. I feel like there's an actual spiritual drive behind it, and I always stick behind that there's things that we don't see happening in this magnetic field that we're all living in, and things that are working with us that are great and are good and of the good side. And in people like Cyndi, I see an angel in human form giving her testimony, and that's just how I view things, especially with flat earthers, all you guys. That's why I love your show and come on and hang out with you guys, because I see you guys care, and you don't just care because you're different or you got less indoctrinated. There's something more to it, so.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question for you. In your front yard, looking up at the sky, recurve or compound?
Define that for me.
What kind of bow do you shoot?
What kind of what?
Bow? You say you like to shoot bow and arrow? What kind of bow?
Oh, I have a couple. I can take pictures and share them. The first one I got was just a basic one, so it's just the curve. The compound, that's the one that's a little bit more like a weapon, I think. So I have two that they're just a regular, what do you call it? A curve?
A recurve usually is because it kind of curves and comes back. And then you have the compound that has the pulleys. And
I don't have compound. I have two curves, and they're two separate sizes, just from Big Five, just some basic. I don't know why I like stuff like that.
Well, they've made a big resurgence.
Truth warrior. That's why.
Seems like in the media. What was it? What's that one goofy movie with the? I don't know. Never mind. I'm gonna get lost.
Hunger Games.
Thank you. Perfect. Yeah, like you're reading my mind. Yeah, there you go. Katniss from the Hunger Games. She was a bow and arrows back.
It's kind of this thing. I don't know. You know how a guy can go out and play baseball or whatever, and he kind of gets motivated and I don't know, feels powerful. So
Well,
I sort of,
oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say you can
just
be
started-
flatness instead of Katniss.
Hey, I like that.
Perfect.
That's actually really good.
I can meme that for you, Cyndi. Get a good picture, put you with the bow and arrow and everything, and
Oh, you have to.
I will.
That's
I can do. I'll get working on it for you.
I love that.
Yep.
So many memes I can think of.
That's awesome. I'm trying to tuck in my son, so all this noise you're hearing, I'm so sorry.
Nope, quite all right. Actually, we do a show on Truth Frequency Radio on Tuesday and Friday mornings. And this past Tuesday, we happened to run across a friend of yours that wanted us to say hi for him. We had a chance to talk to Hori Sheet there for a little bit. And he wanted us to make sure that we said hi for him. So I want to
Hey, Hori, you're awesome.
Yeah, we had a great time with him. It was a blast.
Nice.
Yeah.
I did
Early
have
morning.
Sean Carone, gosh, a long time ago, a couple years ago. Isn't he part of your
He sure is. At least he was last time I checked. I don't know. Seems like there's always things getting switched. We'll even be coming over using Zoom, I think, coming over to YouTube in the very near future, doing actually a video feed for the live radio shows. So that's going to be something that's going to be pretty exciting.
Awesome. Wait, do you want to say hi? Zachary's here. Want to say hi, Zach?
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
What are you doing?
We're just doing some radio talk, talking about the Earth.
What are you doing today?
You say bye?
Bye.
That's
Bye, buddy.
my little boy. He's actually 17, but he was born with Down syndrome, and so he's the size of a 9-year-old, and he functions at a toddler level. So he's the one who was in the hospital.
He's beautiful. Cyndi, I was praying for you when you were going through all that. I was praying for you. Every time I saw you come up in my feed or whatever, I sent out a prayer for you. So
Thank you. Thank you. God totally saved his life. If you ever want that testimony, it's separate from Flat Earth, but God totally blew my mind and saved Zach's life.
Well, he definitely brought a burst of energy and life into this chat just by saying hey to us. So thank you for sharing him with us. And tell him good night, and we'll be sending lots of love and prayer his way for sure.
Zachary, he said to say good night to you. Yeah.
Good night, Zach.
good night, buddy.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
I don't think he can see you, son.
Right?
I don't.
Oh, can you see us?
He sees you.
He
He's
sees
looking
us? He sees all my crap behind me.
at you. That's Mama's friends.
This is fair.
Yeah, Mama's friends.
It's very today.
That's awesome.
That is great.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm blessed.
Definitely are.
Indeed.
I think I hear a cat too.
Yes, I think I hear a kitty cat there too somewhere.
Have you not seen my Bengal kitties?
Hey, let me if you guys want to see some crazy cat shit, look at this.
Oh wow.
Yeah, my cat's a psycho. She's not all there, but she hangs up in the rafters of my townhouse. She doesn't like to come down. She's high. I mean, she's a good 13 feet up there. So
Wow.
Awesome.
That's
Yep.
outrageous.
Oh my gosh, crazy kitty. I have Bengals. So mine are they're a cross between an Asian leopard and a house cat. Where is he?
So they're gorgeous looking then. I love
Oh,
those
they
cats.
look
Like they must be, my
They look
goodness.
like leopards. They're amazingly beautiful. I don't know where he went. He's crying for me. find him. Oh, you got on top of the shower again. Bad baby. Okay. Come on. I know you guys can't see me, right?
No,
We cannot see you.
we
Correct.
cannot see you. You're safe.
One of these days, I'll be more prepared. Okay. Curvis is back outside.
Nice. So Cyndi, let me ask you this: as a flat earther, what would be your top 2 flat Earth proofs that really resonate with you? Something that you can identify with, something that you, when you think of flat Earth and why it's flat, or somebody's asking you, "Hey Cyndi, why is the Earth flat?" Where does your mind go? Does it head towards the water? Does it head towards the horizon? Like what exactly? Where do you see the best proofs of a geocentric universe?
So, because I'm a Christian, the first place I go is Scripture, and
Beautiful.
there's so many. Like it's not 200, it's not even 300. I've been searching since 2016, and I can tell you there's there's so much proof in Scripture that that's number one for me. Is just going back to God's word, the person that the God, whatever we want to call him, he created this place for us. I kind of put it into perspective when I interviewed with Matt Long, and I said it's kind of like a terrarium. So if you get a pet that needs a safe enclosure, are you going to put that pet out in the middle of your backyard and let it be free to be harmed in any way? Or are you going to have an enclosure or a gate or a fence? Or if it's a reptile, then you're going to have a terrarium. You're going to make sure it has water and food and light and heat and whatever it needs. And so I kind of compare the flat earth to what we would expect a creator to create for humanity that we need. Everything's here. And there's, we're not in need of anything other than the fact that the government is destroying our air, food, water, and every aspect of our lives. They're pretty much destroying it. But had we not had corrupt governments, we would have had safe drinking water. And if they didn't take over the land and own it like they created it, then we would have plenty of space for people to live. We wouldn't all be tightly wound up into little cities, right? They think they own it. So, it just basically goes back to God and what he did for us. And then the other thing is, I can't find evidence of any spinning or curvature. And those two things are elusive. And if they're elusive, then there's a question. Why are they elusive? That should be something very simple.
So it's more the lack of evidence of what we were taught.
Right.
The lack of the globe model evidence. Because curvature is a big one for me, because that's, like I said, I don't, a lot of people come to me for flat earth stuff, but I never claim to be the most intelligent flat earther. I don't have so I get it. But one thing I can always attest to is my own personal experiments, and curvature doesn't exist. I mean, you can only refract or use refraction as an excuse for so much feet. At a certain point, with the curvature argument, it's okay. We're 100 miles out. We're talking 7,000 feet almost now. You can't bend images like that perfectly. And when you're actually looking at it through I don't know if you have a P900 or not, but when you're actually looking at these things from that far away, you're seeing it. You're actually seeing what there's no mirage. There's no trickery of light. You're looking that far away, and it just, the whole globe model falls flat. So
and not only are you looking at it that far away, but you're seeing all the pieces that make up what you're seeing. You see the mirror band, you see the fake horizon line, you see where the real horizon line should be. All these things we figured out and uncovered over the last couple of 3 years.
Yeah, I think, but that's why I encourage people, get out there, buy the cameras, do it yourself. Because I remember like the episode 1 footage when I got Boston from almost 100 miles away. I remember this was my first experiment of a very, very long distance. And I had to map out where the, Southwest was, where I was going to be in the mountains, because I was in a whole different state. So I had to use actual, compasses and stuff to find my pinpoint, my location stuff. And, when I got up there and I was successful at it, and I started looking at these buildings from 78, I think was our, low estimate of how the distance, from 78 miles away, I could see the whole city. And when you're actually seeing it, I'm not talking about on a YouTube video, I'm talking about when you're actually seeing it in front of your face on the screen, on the side of the camera, it's different. It's a little bit different than when somebody's showing you on a YouTube video. So that strikes a big chord with getting out there and running these experiments yourself, because I think it's just it's more of a personal relationship with what you're seeing if you're not watching it on YouTube or anything like that. Even though you can tell if the YouTube video is real or not for the most part, when you're actually seeing it and you did it yourself, it brings a whole new light to where you live and what's underneath your feet.
It's like flat smacking yourself.
Exactly. Exactly.
I do
To
buy
go
the
blind
P90.
doing that.
So I have evidence from my own camera. The moon. So either the camera is spectacular or the moon is close. And I'm pretty sure the moon is close because I can see some amazing footage from my P900.
Yep.
Stars are literally lights. There's nothing solid about them that I can see.
Yep.
So there's nothing there.
That's what I told you. They say, "Oh, well, what about the stars?" And I go, "They're fucking lights in the sky. Like, what about them? You know what I mean? Zoom in on them. Get some equipment. You're looking at a light. You're literally looking at a light in the sky. You know what I mean? There's nothing spherical about it. There's not, you're with a telescope, you're closing one eye, so you're completely taking out a whole dimension of what your view is.
Yep.
And when you get and you zoom in on these stars, you're literally the only thing I can ever compare it to is like the bottom of a pool, the way like the water shimmers. When the light hits a pool, that's what you see in these stars, and in these firsthand observations. Like, again, you can download these YouTube videos and see these things by people uploading them, but buying the equipment yourself and doing it yourself just touches a different nerve inside you. Would you agree that what you see personally firsthand, Cyndi, through your P900 is it kind of brings a different light, so to speak, than if you're just seeing it on like a video or something like that?
Absolutely. It's completely different. So what happens is you lose a lot of the, so when you go from the camera, you take it from your memory card and you put it onto your computer. When you go from the computer to, for instance, Facebook or YouTube, you're losing a lot of the natural clarity. I don't know another way to describe that, but what I see with my own eyes through that camera and on my laptop, it's magnificent compared to what I share when I share my videos.
Yep.
So unless you have one yourself and you're actually looking at it, it's kind of cool. I'm not going to lie, it's kind of cool, but it's not the same as seeing it yourself with your own camera.
It's more personal, I would say.
Something that I definitely have just from necessity pretty much had to stick with, but I keep harping on as well with my channel and what I do around here in my area. You have a cell phone. I don't know anybody these days that doesn't at least have a cell phone with a decent camera. You would be surprised what you can uncover around you with just setting it up on a still spot, propping it against a book. You don't even have to buy a tripod. You can keep it as grassroots. You don't have to have the P9000s, P900s, etc. You can find out what's going on around you. You'd be surprised how easy it is to get a good bead on the horizon and zoom in with your little 8X and see stuff you didn't know was there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was looking at Venus one night through my iPhone 8.
Right, exactly.
Like, and I zoomed in on it. I go, holy shit. Like, this is actually pretty cool. Even though Venus is the morning star and it's bright and stuff, I just use that simple, camera phone. I didn't have my P900 on me. And you're right. Even just using something as similar, something as small as a camera phone, you can actually start getting to the edge of like, holy shit, this is actually pretty cool. We're not supposed to see that, or this looks a lot more magnified from, on this little camera. And imagine if I had something more powerful, so I understand, man, definitely.
Before I got my P900, I did stuff like that. Because I was so, I was kind of addicted. I'm still kind of addicted, but I was really like, I have to know. I'm kind of an information junkie. So I would do tests with my own cell phone camera to try to figure things out. One day, the sun was going down or away, and there was a light rain. So it was causing like a tiny little rainbow, not a real rainbow, but right close to me. And you couldn't see the sun anymore, but there was still a rainbow. And that proved to me that the sunlight was still there. It was just further away that I couldn't see the sun, but that sunlight was still creating a rainbow effect.
Nice.
So, Cyndi, I, somewhere amongst your friend requests is one from me, I'm pretty sure, on Facebook. Don't feel obligated to get to it, but we would love to get you back on. I know you just put your kids down to bed. I really want you to be able to sit back and relax and take.
What's your name?
Time. My name is Josh.
Josh, it's just so, or unless you want to have.
I'm calling him Ryan too. I'm sorry, Joshua.
No,
Ryan.
don't even worry about it. Look, my name is Joshua, Ryan, Corey. So I have 3 first names. I answer to all of them, and I've been called a lot worse. So it's really no big deal. Really, exactly who you meant when you said Ryan. So didn't miss a beat.
I saw one of them kind of look, and I go, "Did I get his name wrong?" And I thought to myself, "I'm like, oh, it's Joshua Ryan Corey," but I didn't want to bring it up.
Yeah,
I mean, it's wrong, but not really. So it's not that big a deal.
I'll look for it. Sure.
But we would really love to get you back on here. We've been going since, well, about 4:30 Central, and it's 9 p.m. now. I've been on the go since 3 a.m. this morning, so I'm winding down slowly.
Totally get it. And
we certainly don't want to keep you. You've been more than generous with your time, especially with the kids, man. We appreciate it so much. My goodness.
Well, I really had a great time. You guys are pretty awesome. I'm not going to lie. You guys are intelligent and easy to talk with. So I would gladly come back.
Well, Walt and I interviewed a woman named Janice Barcelo, and you really give off a very similar vibe as Janice. You should really look her up on YouTube. I think you and she would really have a lot of things in common, and you'd really kind of get into some of the stuff she talks about too.
Okay.
Janice. Janice, Barcelo, Barcelo, Janice Barcelo on YouTube. You'll find a bunch of really good stuff out there, especially in regards to the medical industry and the birthing industry and all the sort of hoax that's been going on there in perpetuity, forever.
And we certainly extend that invitation to the Ironworks, which is the show that Josh and I and Zach hang out on over there on Truth Frequency Radio. So certainly anytime you're free that time of day, let us know.
Absolutely. I'm never free, but I'll make time.
Absolutely. I get it. Mine's 21 now, but I understand. Believe me.
They have a lot of needs. So I don't necessarily have any free time, but I definitely want to do more shows with you guys. I really had a great time.
Well,
excellent. A lot of fun.
Hey, Cyndi, I just want to say, thank you for so much for coming on and taking my request to have you come and meet these guys. There's obviously, you saw why I wanted to have you on the show. It's an amazing, group of guys. And I think it was a good place for you to, get some more word out and stuff and maybe wake up some more people. But, I'll see you on Facebook, obviously, and we talk on Messenger. So thank you so much for coming on and doing me the favor of hooking these guys up and stuff. So I really, really, really appreciate it. And I know every single person in this, on this radio show right now, I know every single one of them appreciates it more than you could even imagine. So
thank you. Absolutely, Brendan. And thank you for the invitation.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yep. And we thank you also, Brendan, for connecting us and putting yourself out there and offering to do it. It really means a lot that you're looking out for us because so many things fall through the cracks, and really production and getting any kind of guests on is one of those things that, like I said, I've been up since 3 a.m. My days I just don't have enough hours. So if I had more time, maybe it would work out better. So I really appreciate you coming up and doing this for me. That's awesome.
You got it, man. You got it.
No, we just got to get you the production assistant T-shirt with Iron Realm on it, and you're hired, dude. You're in.
Have a lion when Iron Realm meets Future of Flat Earth, kind of do a little sandwich there.
There we go. Cross reference, cross branding. Love it.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
get
Hey, don't forget about my meme, okay?
you- Ooh, that's
No,
fun.
I'm gonna actually work on that. Just give me a little bit. That's a tough one because I
Yeah,
gotta put.
that's going to be another
gotta
shirt
do-
I want. The flatness T-shirt.
Yeah, I'll message you if you have a picture of you shooting the bow and arrow. It might help. If not, I'll creep your page and steal a good one and see if you want to use it. I'll
All
edit
right.
stuff and we'll get you a cool meme. So,
You guys are awesome.
Sweet.
all right.
Awesome, Cyndi. Well, we will let you go and we'll wrap it up here. Thank you so much for coming on tonight, and we will definitely connect and get you back on. So many more things I would love to pick your brain about.
Absolutely. You guys just let me know. I'll be around.
All
Love
right.
it.
Thank you so
All
much,
right.
Brendan. Have a great rest of your night.
You too. Bye, everybody.
All right. Talk to you
Thanks,
later.
man.
Bye.
And,
All right,
and
buddy.
send love to all the rest of the kids, Cyndi, for us.
All right. I will. Thank you.
Oh, that was awesome. As thoroughly excited as I was about it, that went even better than I had hoped.
Way more, yeah, and more hours we could be here again all night. So, oh, and for anyone who doesn't have the clue, maybe Cyndi especially, there's a leave meeting somewhere down there on the bottom right, somewhere on the screen. It might help you, or if you guys can help her, I'm not sure.
I think we can. Well, you should be able to, Walt, actually, and Adam.
I do have power.
Yeah. Walt, I made you co-host, then I made Adam host, and I just bailed. My stupid audio reset like it does before, so I'm talking and nobody can hear me. Everything's unmuted. I just had to leave and come back. And the only way I could do that without ending the whole conversation would be to assign a host. But I figured, why not? I'll just make Walt co-host too. And he should have all the same powers as the host, as the co-host. I'm telling you, Walt, I really like Zoom better than I do Skype.
Right. I do like it. It just today from 4 o'clock on, all I did was fight resets on my computer and Zoom not letting me in any of the links. Like they were all saying they were expired or had been set up for a past time. And I don't know.
Well, see, I keep removing this thing that they have, this option. It's like a waiting room. So it's like a meeting room that you can have before you come into here. So I'm hosting, so I could be in here all by myself, and then everybody else would just gather in the waiting room, like the green room. Essentially, it's like a green.
Right. That's the other thing. Once I finally got with you guys, I kept going, can I come in? Hello, knock, knock, knock. Let me in.
That's what it needs. It needs a knock, knock, knock function because you just forget.
I'm having to go to Zoom. I mean, I'm going to Twitter. I'm going to Skype. I'm like, hello, I'm on our YouTube channel going, let me in the show.
I will add that to my list of things to give them in the feedback. I already did one. When you end the call, there should be a little check mark. You can say, hey, I need to leave some feedback. That's what I'm going to do, is a little knock, knock function in the waiting room.
So when you're in the waiting room.
That's pretty good.
And there may be one. We just haven't.
I don't think so. I mean, I would know. I've never been in it because I'm always hosting. But
I'll look next time I'm waiting around.
we can look.
Flipping through magazines. Well, that definitely went amazing.
Are we still live?
Brendan, thank you so much.
We should be.
I thought we were.
Okay.
Adam, did you kill it?
No, it's still good, mate.
Adam didn't fall asleep on the keyboard, did he?
But I thought
Oh,
maybe
close.
his forehead might have hit stop broadcasting.
No,
Brandon,
no.
what
I didn't
happened
go
to my
that far.
connection
I didn't
here?
go
I went,
that
yeah, thank you, Brendan, and she was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, she really was. Hey, Gary, are you still with us too? Or you fall asleep?
He fell asleep
I believe
on the
it.
keyboard.
That's cool. It's not happening Friday night till somebody passes out in the chair.
That's it. Exactly.
It's 3 o'clock over here. So.
Right. Hopefully next time we'll be able to get Cyndi in a bit earlier, so if everybody won't fall asleep, John won't have to go to bed on her, everything. So yeah, it was great though. Thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it. And Brendan, man, oh my goodness, the MVP for the show tonight for sure. And there's John.
We're in the chat.
John sent some Z's for everybody. Little snooze. So, all right. Well, I think it's time to get out of here.
All right. Sounds good. Well, then I'm going to wrap it up. Hey, Adam, what I'm going to do is probably play a little bit of music. Then I'm going to probably play a couple promos. And then after.
Hey, there's an awesome song out on the charts. Just hit the charts. It's climbing quick. I don't know if you've heard it yet, but You might want to see if you can get that one queued
Well,
up.
it's like 5:26. We can totally exit on the 5:26 song.
That one
I'm
is.
down with
Yeah. We wanted a longer song.
All right, well, let's do that. Why don't we do the promos and then we'll exit on the 5:26 song?
All right, do that.
And we'll just make Adam sit there waiting and listening until he finally gets he'll kill the stream.
Thank you so much.
Nope, Adam, you're this close to bed. Can you feel it?
I'm nearly there. We're nearly there, but
You're still
not
going to
enough.
have to wait. That's all right. I'm going to make
Thanks everybody in chat as well. I was definitely not hanging in chat tonight. Someone in our immediate group fussed at me about being in chat. No, I'm just being silly. But I definitely wasn't in chat like I normally am.
I've been trying to make a pointed, an actual effort to stay out of chat. I've got it up. I can see it. I'm not trying to interact.
I kept it
Not very
down
much.
and hidden from sight. That's the only way. Out of sight, out of mind. And it worked. So I think I said hello family early on, and I may have said that one time, let me get in with you guys. But other than that, I didn't say hey to anybody. So lots of love. You guys know I love y'all and I appreciate you, and thank you so much.
Yeah, and all you fellers here. I appreciate hanging out with you on a Friday night.
You guys rock. I don't know if you've heard.
No place I'd rather be. That's right. Zach, did you ever know you're my hero?
Do you ever know you're the wind beneath my wings?
Oh my goodness.
You have to add Bette Midler to your list of nicknames. Nomad, Bette Midler Zabala. All right.
My first sprout today.
I saw that. That was very gorgeous.
Oh, beautiful, isn't it? It's going to get cold, though. I got to treat them like babies. They're going to be inside here with me sleeping until it gets nice and warm out. Then I'll give them some sunlight. But until this cold front passes, negative 55 in Chicago.
That's ridiculous.
Oh, I'm so glad I'm not up there.
I'm so glad that the people in Chicago are in Chicago.
They deserve it.
That's what makes it fun. All right, I guess it's time to get out of here.
I love you guys.
I love you guys. Got to say good morning with you guys. Get to say good night with you guys. That's like a real effing family.
Night, John Boy.
Night, John.
Joshua, Ryan, or Corey. John Boy's not one of those I will to. All right, no, seriously, love you guys. And I will talk to you probably here in the next few minutes by the time Adam kills this stream.
I bet so.
All right, love you guys. And we will see you all right back here next Friday, 10:30 Greenwich Mean Time, 4:30 Central for Have No Fear, right on the Iron Realm Media YouTube channel. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button. We made it to 1,800 subscribers just yesterday. I think we're up to 18 and 11 last time I checked. So we're going. Maybe by the end of the weekend, we'll hit 2,000. Don't be afraid. We're not always this disorganized. Well, I'm a liar. We're always this disorganized.
Worse.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes it's not nearly this good. All right. But we'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.
Welcome to the show where you don't know if it's part of the show.
Welcome to Red Hen Radio, where truth fears no investigation. What do you know? What do you believe? Who are you? Where did you come from? Where are you going? How will you determine the way? What you think is news for you is only and absolutely propaganda. It's spin. There is no news for you. Only misdirection and disinformation. Join us here at Red Hen Radio as we discover how to squint when what we see isn't what ought to be. Because truth is not counterintuitive. Reading between the lines of the story you were just fed. I'm your host, Travis Finley. Welcome to the show. Do you know that you're part of the show?
Well, you don't know if it's part of the show.
Fear's the mind killer. Fear's the little death. This is Uncle Walt from the Ironworks. Josh, Corey, and I have chosen to look at life with no fear. No fear of the unknown. No fear of questions about the supposedly well-known. No fear of ridicule for thinking outside the familiar fool's lines. No fear of the boot on the neck of those refusing the party line. No fear of taking on those so convinced of their beliefs they would sooner drink the Kool-Aid than believe they've been fools made. In this world filled with me too, cattle sink, can truth's protective layers be peeled back to show the tender, juicy pink? Are we all just grist for the mill? Souls sold against our will, or is that just how it feels? When you're filled to the rim, triviality is so fear-filled and grim, break clear of the fear. Right here, Tuesdays and Fridays at 2 a.m. on TFR. Josh and I and you will hammer out the impurities of technology-driven groupthink, fold in a dash of logic, and quench it all with a bit of absurdity. The Ironworks, break clear of the fear.
Until I can figure out how to fix this effing sound issue and make that stuff come through clear on YouTube. There's no sense in letting this play. I'm just going to end it. Good night, everybody. Adam, if you would, please, sir.
God bless. Good night.